Grapsody with Will, Phil, and Reg, trying to keep it real instead of what you usually get from these talking heads. It's Grapsody, we're here to fill the void. 3 black fans, different perspective, gotta fill your voice. Coming with the podcast, talking majors, indies in between. Yeah, it's all that, and we're down with Fightful, better fall back. Coming for respect, we connect like a ball bat. No need to double check, these are all facts. You're listening to us talk raps. You're listening to us talk raps. Will, Phil, and Reg. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps.
Welcome. This is the last time we'll be doing this, the last Saturday of 2024.
Crazy.
This is Grapsody. I'm Phil Lindsey. Of course, I am here with Righteous Reg in the building. What's going on, brother?
Your favorite rapper, your favorite writer, your favorite podcaster. It's the last Saturday of 2024. What a year? Question mark, Phil Lindsey? I don't know. But it's Grapsody. We're here. We're excited. There's a lot going on. We got some great stuff to talk about. And it's raining out in Oakland, California. It's a dark and gloomy day. But I'm feeling good. How about you, Phil Lindsey?
I'm good. Yeah, it has been a very up and down year. When you think about like all of the stuff that happened this year, like I was trying to think of stuff because we're going to get into our year in review in a minute. And I was like, oh, that did happen this year.
That happened.
Or that happened this year. I mean, all of the Vince stuff happened this year. It doesn't seem like it, but that was at the beginning of this year. That was how we started out 2024 with all the lawsuit stuff. A lot of great wrestling this year, but yeah, very eventful 2024 in terms of politics, in terms of world stuff, like
Diddy.
The Diddy stuff, closing the year with this whole stuff. The great rap war of 2024.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot has happened. It's been a long year in some ways.
I can't believe the amount of things just like going through. Making the list is like, yeah, wrestling, it was insane, but like all the other extracurriculars were crazy. Like there's been so many times where we came on this pod where we're super excited about Kendrick and Drake and we're talking highs, and then we get on here and like after elections and there's lows, and it's like there's so many like it's been like such a roller coaster that
so many,
you never know what it's gonna be at some days.
So many deaths too, like when you think James Earl Jones, James Omos, just so many deaths, man. Like it's been a wild year.
Rest in peace to the young homie OG Mako who passed away this week on some terrible, unfortunate stuff. You guessed it, was like a moment in time. I could remember everybody was rapping on that. It was like there's some songs that like take over the culture for a while, and that was one of them. So rest in peace to the homie. That's crazy. But yeah, it feels like every week we come in this pod and they're like, rest in peace to this legendary person, do this, you know what I mean? It's a circle of life. It's crazy.
Yeah, Quincy Jones,
man.
Yeah, Kira Toriyama earlier this year. A lot of crazy deaths. Like
Quincy Jones, bro.
Quincy Jones and Akira Toriyama were big ones this year for me. Like very impactful. Of course, like I said, James Earl Jones, Frankie Beverly earlier this year. A lot of
Black history, deaths. Black dad. The James Earl and James almost being like back to back is like, I was like, how does America's dads? How does this happen like this? It's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah. Tito Jackson, I forgot this year. Man, a lot of like,
what a terrible year.
Shocking deaths this year.
Man.
But yeah, just let you know, man, be grateful. This life thing is really short. Hopefully people had a good holiday weekend. How's your it's weird. I kept thinking at some points after Christmas, I was like, okay, today's Monday, because it kind of felt like a weekend. And it was weird. It was weird having Christmas right in the middle of the week.
Yeah, I ended up I drove to Bakersfield the weekend before Christmas, and there was a family holiday get together. Remember, I was telling you a little bit about it last week on how my cousin was like, here's all these things. And so we get there before she's like, it's pajamas or ugly sweater. And we get there, she don't have either one on. I'm like, you you little girl, you were stressing everybody out with all this stuff. And then you get there and you're not even, she didn't care, but it was fun. It was great. Seeing your family, reminiscing about, when you bring up those things that are wild as hell in retrospect, you're like, whoa, that was crazy. But you're like laughing and talk about it, but you're really thinking about it as an adult. Like, we could have died, or we could have did like all these crazy situations of like going through the history of being a young, dumb person getting chased by random dogs in the hood. That's not a thing anymore, right, Phil? You just walking through the hood and a random pit bull just chases you and your friends.
It might still happen somewhere, but it's crazy. You listen, your dog can get shot today. Like,
that's a fact.
Your dog can get killed today. So please keep your dog on a leash. Mm-hmm. And people have gotten seriously hurt. I was watching this because I don't have cable, so me and my brother are watching this thing on Animal Channel, whatever. I think it was Discovery. Mm-hmm. And what is it? I Am Prey. Have you ever seen this show?
Mm-mm.
And it's kind of like like two people each episode breaking down getting attacked by an animal. Yeesh. And like they're telling like these grisly stories of being attacked by an animal. And by the end of one episode, I was just like, yo, white people's obsession with wildlife and wanting to dominate wildlife is one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen. Like, there's this story, this guy of like, he saw a bear coming at him. It was like a few yards away. And he was like, yeah, I went to reach for my bear spray, but, I didn't want to take my eye off the bear. So my first instinct was to stand my ground. And I was like, yo, against a bear?
Against a bear?
Against a bear. You're going to stand your ground against a bear? And needless to say, this did not end well for this gentleman. He got attacked by the bear. Yeah. And by the end of it, ended up spraying himself in the eyes with his bear spray because bro, these stories were wild. There was one with this lady in the water with the shark. Guys, sometimes animals, they belong in their habitat. You're in the wrong place. You're in their habitat. Stay out of this. This woman told the story about being attacked by a hippo. If you don't know how dangerous hippos are, extremely dangerous animals.
I remember going to the zoo in like third grade or something with our class, and we saw a hippo and just thinking like, that something about this animal don't feel right. And like when you learn about how they get down, you're like, yo, like my instincts as a child were like, stay away from these people and like stay away from this animal. And like people were like not staying away from them. They're trying to stand their ground or ride them or do whatever kind of wild shit.
I want to be out in the water. So the story with that one was the hippo flipped her canoe over. And so once she got in the water, the hippo then proceeded to drag her down into the water, and she had to fight this thing to get her leg free of the hippo. Yeah, these stories were crazy. I said, yeah, this is why I stay where I belong. Listen, I stay at a distance. I've been in places where I can see the animals. I stay over here where I belong. They're in their habitat. Because all of these things that people think are like, hey, it's an elephant. Elephants are extremely dangerous.
We might know elephant. I'm cool. I look at them. This makes me think of that the SeaWorld documentary or whatever, where they're talking about how some of the orcas would go crazy on the trainers and like the stories of them like, oh, they dragged them in and they did some horrible things in front of like a crowd of people. And it's like, well, it's probably because you got an orca in a swimming pool. Like, that's not like, you know what I mean? I don't think they belong there. They do not belong there for our entertainment. Do a backflip. And it's like, what?
Yeah. See, hippos account for more human kills in Africa than lions. They are extremely territorial. This is what I'm telling you. God. Hippos are dangerous, bro.
They scared of lions, and lions are chilling. Hippos are the ones like, nah, what y'all doing here? What you up at? What you doing in this water? I'll flip this whole thing over right now.
Yeah. I was amazed by the end of this show that certain people, their first instinct wasn't, hey, maybe I should get out of here. Yeah. No, listen, I'm gonna try and get it shaken. I'm gonna try and get it shaken with this bear. Like, nah, dog.
What's up, bear? What you got? The bear got you, dog. It don't matter what kind of moves you got. When people are like, could you beat up you could not beat a bear. You couldn't beat nothing. If they take one swipe at you, you're dead.
Yeah, I had never heard of this show. It was on Animal Planet. I Was Prey, that's the name of it. And we were me and my brother were just sitting there in amazement. I was like, I don't think you should do that. Like, I think you should just get out of there. Like, if the bear is that far away, like, nah, I'm good. This dude was explaining like his whole hunting philosophy. I just don't understand hunting. I've had uncles that are from like deep south. They love hunting. I just don't get it. I don't need to be out there. I don't want to kill animals. I'm good.
How about a lower than that? How do you feel about camping?
Camping is fine. I've been camping before.
Yeah.
But
because animals are out there too. A snake might crawl up in your fucking tent,
Yeah, but see, you can do like a forest preserve or like designated areas to camp. When you go out there hunting, you're making the decision that it is man versus nature, and I'm about to try and come out of this. No. And this guy, he was telling, I'm just used to going out there and help and getting out there in nature. I got to put meat on the table. No, you don't, fam. You can go right to the grocery store just like everybody else. You do not need to go out there and shoot no elk or whatever else, dog. Like,
the elks, the deers, the goats, the lambs, they're all wrapped in packaging, ready for you to go. You can drop it right. You can have that tonight to your whole family, a whole thing. Like, I don't get that. Like, we're fighting for survival. Like, we're not at this point.
Oh,
like,
you're not.
I get milk at the grocery store. I get meat at the grocery cheap. Like, whatever I need, it's on tap for me. Like, we don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, that whole idea of I have to go out and hunt for food. Yeah, I'm good.
Not mission.
Yeah, that big game hunting and all that stuff. I'm good.
And they be fighting back now. Every time I read a story, I'm like, they're like, a tribe was attacked by an elephant. He stepped on everybody. Like, what do you guys think? Like, these animals are just gonna let you murder them? Nah, I don't get down like that.
I'm good. Fascinating few hours of television of us just sitting there watching the show for some reason. I was just like, I just think you could just turn around and get out of there. You don't belong in there. It's cool.
It works. That's what's the good thing about streaming and things like free streaming and all the streaming services. You can stumble upon something like that. I've never heard of this in my life, honestly.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
It's kind of like those back in the day when Animal Attack shows. They don't really have those anymore. Those used to come on like UPN, like on a nightly, like deadliest bird attacks or anything like that.
Yeah, there were a few of them where I was just like, nah, dog. Like, there was this one girl, she was talking about she went out at night with her dog. She told this whole story about how much she loved this dog. And I said, okay, I can see where this is going. Mm-hmm. It's just how attached you are to this dog. And
life on the line.
They got they got ran down on by two raccoons that came down out of the hill. And the dog went, because the dog's first instinct is protect my owner. So the dog is fighting one of the raccoons. The other one runs away. She then tries to get in and kick the raccoon off him. I was like, listen. The dog's name was Hoffman. I was like, listen, Hoffman. Hoffman, you got this one, dog. Let me go ahead and let me go call for help or something. But I am not about to fight no raccoon.
I'm gonna see you, Hoffman. I hope you survive this. I'm going to call for help, Hoffman. But
I would have been standing. I would have been standing on top of the car, Hoffman. You got this one.
You Uncle Willie's son, the Hoffman.
You got him. You got this one, man. Nah, I'm not fighting no raccoon, dog. I'm good.
Two of them. We might be able to double team one Hoffman, but two of them, I'm sorry. You, this is me or you, dog. That's crazy. Now, white people will go to war for their animal, their dog. I've seen it with my own eyes. I'm like, I think you almost died for this, and I'm like,
yeah, you cannot do that. That's cool.
Interesting choice.
And they'd all be at the end. Well, it's not the animal's fault. I don't hate the animal. Like the woman that got attacked by the hippo, like when she's telling the story at the end, she has a shirt on with I love hippos on it. I was like, yo, all right.
I'm now a hippo advocator. Like I go to war for hippos. It's like
protect the hippos. No, man. Protect me from the hippos. What are you talking about?
Protection. Hippos do not need to protect. If you just stay out the hippo's crib, they won't do this. It's easy as that.
Yeah. One of the ladies got attacked by a shark. She ended up getting a shark tattoo. I said, yo, okay. All right.
Not the animal's fault, Phil. It's my fault. I'm like, all right, okay.
Listen, I love animals as much as the next person, but buddy, if I'm out there and it's me and an animal, shoot to kill. Like, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna get him tatted up afterwards. No, that was a great battle you put me through, shark. You fighting a shark, dog. Why you paying tribute? That person was trying to kill you. That shark didn't care about your life.
Yeah, but it was a good Christmas. I spent Christmas Eve with my family. Went at dinner with them like I usually did. I did a little baking. I don't usually do baking, but did a little baking this year. My mom and my grandmother both made sweet potato pie all the time, and nobody else in my family makes sweet potato pie. Like, cause they're like, it's okay. But I'm like, somebody has to make it.
Telling me that we just talked about this movie with Emilio last week about Danny Glover and baking this pie, and you went and baked a pie, Phil?
I did. I made a joke about it on Instagram with Danny Glover and everything.
Oh, I love it here.
So no, I made that, and I made like
beautiful.
it's like a cobbler. It was cool.
Phil was in there getting down. No, like as Danny Glover makes it apparent in the movie, it's not easy. Like you don't just get in there and like whip it up and drop it.
It's not that hard.
Oh, Danny Glover was capping?
I think he made it harder than it had to be. I think because he's just like, nah, I don't bake. But no, a lot of other people don't make sweet potato pie. I was like, I have the taste for it. And like when I think of holidays, I always think about waking up to sweet potatoes because you have to. If you know anything about making a pie, you have to bake the sweet potatoes first. Like you gotta bake them for about an hour or so. So I would remember during the holiday weekends waking up and smelling sweet potatoes because you gotta bake them first because it makes it easier to peel them. If you just try to peel a sweet potato, they're very hard to peel if you don't just like cook it first because the skin just comes off.
Baked a sweet potato, but was it a hit? Everybody was hitting. Everybody was like, "Yeah, Phil did this."
Well, like I said, I mostly was the one that wanted it. So
you wanted it. Was it a hit with you?
Yeah, it was cool.
I love it, man. That's amazing. I want to bake a pie. I don't think I've ever baked a full pie. That's crazy.
Yeah. Christmas was cool. Watch some basketball. See, people in the NFL went and got Beyonce. They thought, we were gonna win this great sports war on Christmas Day. No, all of the basketball games were better. The football games were trash. Yes, Beyonce was amazing as we expected.
Of course.
But Beyonce performing during that game was better than the game itself because Lamar Jackson proceeded to destroy the Houston Texans. So it wasn't even a good game. But man, Beyonce, incredible performer, one of the greatest performers of all time.
No one's surprised.
I don't know when Blue Ivy turned into a tall teenager on us, but when she was out there dancing and they were almost the same height, I was like, what? When did this happen?
Leave me alone. She was a baby just yesterday. I remember listening to her being rapped about as a baby, and now she's taller than I am, I'm sure, at this point.
Yeah, but man, dope to see that performance. Blue Ivy did her thing. Beyonce did her thing. That guy Shabuzi, I keep saying, what a year for that guy. He was out there. Post Malone, for some reason, was there. But, yeah, great performance. But the basketball games were all fun. Your Golden State Warriors got right to the edge, almost won. Steph Curry did what Steph Curry did, hit this incredible shot out of the corner, which I was like, how did he even hit that? How could he even see? And then came right back and hit another three, like near the logo right after that. I'm to the point where I feel like Steph Curry is probably the most exciting basketball player to watch of this decade. Like, yeah, I feel like that might sound like an exaggeration, but the stuff he does is just unreal.
It's like his basketball instincts are insane. Like you said, like, how does he see that? Like, he runs that play 1,000 times in his brain. You know what I mean? Like, his brain was like, here's that play you've been always thinking about, do it. And then he does it. And then he does the logo shot. And it's like, he does it so effortlessly. That's what's crazy about it. It's like he's in year what by now. Like, he's supposed to be winding down, and he's still doing the most incredible things you've ever seen. And his shots are must see TV. Like, they're always talked about. It's just like a difference.
Yeah, I feel like we keep having this conversation about our 3-pointers ruining basketball. And when you watch other people shoot threes, they don't do it like that guy. He's the greatest 3-point shooter of all time for a reason. Like the shots he hits are just insane. What a fun game. Lakers ended up winning at the last minute. But great game. I thought all the games were good. Wembanyama is going to be the future of this league. What a performance from him. Sixers almost coughed up a game to Boston Celtics. But all fun games. I did not watch Dynamite on Christmas because I was watching basketball, but I ended up catching up on it later.
Yeah, we Denise and I ended up doing a live stream of it. Most of it was we were being silly. Shout out to Denise for a fun week of stuff. We actually did yesterday a meet and greet for, she calls the DWO members, the people of her YouTube page, and so many people were coming on there. We'd be like, oh, telling us a story, and they'd be like, they go through the story like, we love you guys' show, and then they would always be like, Grapsody though, every Saturday I'm tapped in to watch. It was like not shocking because like, you know, continuously hear it, but like just hearing people be like, yeah, every Saturday I tune in, I submit super chats, I love what you and Phil do, you guys are my favorite, blah blah blah. I'm just like, it still hits so hard. So shout out to all of y'all that are out there right now listening, because at this point it still feels great to hear anybody be like, hey, I listen to you when I commute to work, or I listen to you and blah blah blah. I'm like, it still feels so great, Phil.
Yeah, still feels wild that this is a 2-man podcast at this point. I'm glad that other people noticed last week, because when people tried to make this thing that me and Will Washington do not get along, and I saw certain people say, I said, yeah, you guys see now how this guy tried to completely sabotage me in this Jeopardy game. At several points tried to cheat me. I was like, what is this? What's going on here?
I knew the fix was in when he was like, oh, Denise has home field advantage. I'm like, all right, I see exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Then at one point goes, yeah, you got to answer your question in a formal question. And I did. And then he proceeds to give you 2 points for not answering in formal questions. I was looking around like, what is this?
Let me move past it real quick because nobody's going to notice. But like everybody noticed besides the watch.
Looking around like, what is this? Why am I being cheated?
Still dominated all of us insanely. Spoiler alert. Sorry, Phil Lindsey took us to the woodshed. Denise and I. If you guys don't know, we're referencing. Denise released a video of Jeopardy wrestling, AEW trivia Jeopardy featuring Phil, Will, and Righteous Reg. Will is hosting all of us, and he compiled all the questions and all the list. And the fix was definitely in, like off rip. Like he wanted Denise to win so bad, but like
yeah,
Phil
at one point, one of his questions was, "Who is at the top of my favorites?" I was like, "Bro, look at this game. We all know who's listed at the top of your favorites. What's going on here?"
Well, you got to say it out loud. We know exactly what's going on here, bro.
Yeah,
that damn Will Washington.
Yeah, listen. Every time, it's nice when the 4 of us get together and I can proceed to stomp you guys out at games.
Well, you know,
whether it be bowling, whether it be trivia.
Oh, damn, you did smash us in bowling, too. That's crazy. Damn, I blocked that memory out of my head. I was damn. See, I need a few rounds of bowling to really get into it, and a few drinks and some weed and stuff. They need to let you smoke inside there. That's really what the issue is, I think. But yeah, great times with the homies. Definitely check out that video. Shout out to Denise. Been doing a lot of great content with Denise. But yeah, that thing was dope yesterday. We did the Dynamite stream. Most of the Dynamite show was Continental Classic matches back to back to back. Hammerstein Ballroom. The crowd those crowds are just can't be replicated. I watched the ROH show that they filmed from there too. Same thing. The crowds just make it so much like, can we just permanently be in Hammerstein at this point?
Yeah, great atmosphere for both ROH and AEW. Of course, ROH has history in Hammerstein, so it's cool to see them return there. But those AEW shows, the episode of Collision and Dynamite, they felt right at home in Hammerstein. That crowd was fantastic both nights. Definitely made me think, you guys, they have to make this an annual thing coming back to Hammerstein. Hopefully that is a thing. No, there's a lot of territorial talk around Hammerstein, so I don't know.
People claiming for putting their flag up in Hammerstein. It's like, I don't know if it feels like when you guys are working together, what things are happening. It feels better, but I don't know. It has to be pro wrestling and it has to move how it moves, but it is what it is. But yeah, Christmas was great. Holidays are a lot. I know a lot of people were not celebrating or had some other things. So shout out to you people who just had a regular week. Maybe just enjoyed some time off or enjoyed whatever that was, because I know these times could be very rough. Phil, Lindsey.
Yeah. Are you at the point now that you've been doing this podcast long enough that now when people see you during the holiday weekend, they ask you about podcasting?
Yes.
It's weird.
Yeah. And then it's really weird because I start to think of all the stories that I told of these people. So I see them, and like I saw my aunt who I told a story on a podcast about. I was like, so I just told a story about you on a podcast, and she's just being funny about it. But yeah, most of it is like, how's a podcast? What's podcasting? What are you blah blah blah? Wrestling. And I'm like, it feels good, but it also feels weird.
It is very weird. People, they're like, hey, how's the podcast doing? Or how's this? And it's weird. There's also
I'm wearing that hat too that you have on right now. So they're like, oh, you got merch, you got this, you got this. I'm like, yeah, we're doing that.
Yeah. There are multiple things like that. Like there are podcast bits at this point that are like my brother bought me a pair of shoes and I was just like, yeah, well, this stopped me from buying a pair of shoes right before Christmas, which I actually did. I'm actually lying. I did buy shoes this month.
I love it. He said he was trying to get around it. Like, no, I actually didn't, but you actually did. So you got two pairs of shoes this month.
Yeah.
Shout out to you. That's dope.
Yeah.
But all the family was good. Your pops was good and everything.
My dad came in the city, so I didn't see my dad, but I texted him. I saw him a few days before, but yeah, he was going into his complaining about certain things that I won't get into on this podcast, but it was the usual family stuff. And I said, yeah. It was the same with me. I was complaining about something the day before because family is as grateful as I am for family, they can be very annoying.
They are a lot. Yeah, I had a good conversation with my mom, and there's a bunch of stuff I could never repeat out loud on air. Get everybody would be done for. But yeah, family there's some stuff still going on with my uncle who passed away, and
of course
his urns at somebody's house it shouldn't be at. And I'm like, why? And they spelled the name wrong I'm like, you guys.
Oh no.
This is a human that existed. You know what I mean? Like, it's ain't a game. You can't have a typo just on like some email that you sent. And so like there's all this, and then people don't want to get along. And it's like, I don't give a fuck about you guys getting along. Let's just like get my uncle to the space he's supposed to be in, please.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Every year it does feel like just something's missing because you keep losing people, and it's tough. The older you get, it's tough. But if you want to send us your season's greetings or get into some wrestling talk, whether that be some of your favorite moments in wrestling from this podcast, you can send us a super chat. That's the best way to get your chat read on the air, and also send us your Humper Chats via humperchats.com/Fightful.
Yeah, and please send in your memories because I smoke a lot of pot and I can't remember things. So I need you guys to refresh me, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I do remember that. But yeah, shout out to you guys sending super and Humper Chats. And before we get into them, shout out to anybody who submitted a super or Humper Chat throughout this year. It definitely always helps Phil and I out. It feels good to have you guys, further along the conversations here. And you guys are just always so super dope into that. So I appreciate y'all for that. We're gonna start out with some super chats when my computer learns how to work. First one's from the homie Van Twinblade, who says, Mox says he's the king. Eddie returns tonight. Hobbies hobbles out after Mox match, calls him a hoe, flips off Claudio, and leaves.
I'd love to see Eddie tonight. I assume we're gonna get some kind of returns tonight, which we'll talk about.
We'll definitely get into it. Yeah, I don't know about Eddie Kingston because, like, I was reading about his injury a couple weeks ago, and it still seems like he's out for a couple more months. And I don't know if they want to jeopardize that with a bit.
Pretty serious injury.
Very serious. I was at that show. That was this year. I was at that show too. I'm like, things just. How do you? What?
It looks so bad. When I saw it, I just thought about it the other day. That it looked so bad. Hopefully he's okay.
Being in there and the sound, Phil, that's what fucked me up. I was like, oh, that did not sound good at all.
Yeah, I've seen the replay multiple times. It looked horrible.
The homie Grapple Geekery says, tonight I'm most looking forward to the women's matches in the C2. Expect a Wardlow return with MJF and a frustrating continuation of Mox's title reign.
Yeah, we'll get into some of this Mox stuff. The last few weeks of it have not been great.
Feels like they keep doing the same bit over and over, but yeah, we'll definitely get into that in full. And Wardlow return, that's a surprising thing. Grapple Geekery, I hadn't thought about that. D-Lo Diggs says, hope everyone had a good Christmas and have a safe new year. Sonic 3 was amazing.
Yeah, I have to go see Sonic 3. Everybody that's seen it said it was great. Big Sonic fan, of course. It's wild seeing it become like one of the best, well, not even one of the best video game franchise to become a movie. I would not have guessed that because video 100%. Game movies are very, very hit or miss. And then Sonic's had such a rocky history. So it is cool to see that. Of course, I was a big Sonic kid growing up, so it is kind of a feather in my hat to all of those Mario fans that were saying, oh, you like Sonic? Yeah, I like Sonic. Sonic is the better franchise. Sorry.
I'm thinking of a Phil Lindsey text from earlier this week that said something like, yeah, because video game movies are historically bad. And just like laughing out
loud. There are not a lot of good video game movies, dog. A lot of them are bad.
Of course, Sonic's getting good reviews. Most of them suck.
Yeah.
Very good. Shout out to D-Lo. He's been a member for 45 months. That's a long time.
Appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. Our homie Deontay Soignier with a very generous super chat says, it's World Ends Day. Salutations, my brothers. Just had a good brunch shift. Excited for the show. I wish all good folks and except MJF a great 2025. Then to have Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty to start 2025 and Raw Netflix, all love.
Yeah, a lot of huge changes to start January. A lot of wrestling coming to streaming to start the year. No Royal Rumble in January, which feels weird. But
it's super interesting to me. But we're gonna get into it. Wrestle Kingdom in a couple of minutes here. But it used to be that New Japan would dominate the beginning, like this time of the year, of like it's all Wrestle Kingdom talk. But like now, everybody has a big show at the beginning of January, which is super interesting. You know?
Yeah.
Deontay also says, all my friends who don't watch wrestling have found Mina because of me. Mercedes versus Mina about to be fun. What y'all looking forward to for Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty?
Yeah, it's a lot to look forward to. Guess we can get into this Wrestle Kingdom card.
Yeah.
While I have that, let me pull it up. I mean, yeah, that's a big one for me for that weekend. Mina versus Mercedes, and just how big that is for both of them. How much they've talked about wanting to wrestle each other and being able to wrestle in the dome. That's huge. Of course, also looking forward to Mayo's big match as well. The Women's Cup. There's a lot from that Wrestle Dynasty card.
The Wrestle Dynasty card actually feels like a great crossover. It's not just like a bunch of matches they put together. Like they have history, they have story, and the matches are going to be insane. Even if they just throw a bunch of these matches together, like they're going to be fire ass matches, you know?
Yes. Of course, going to start the night with the New Japan Rundel, which is basically kind of like their Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. It's usually for the King of Pro Wrestling title, which has now been retired. Mm-hmm. So it is now to determine the number one contender for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. That should be interesting to see who comes out of that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's usually kind of just like a fun joke match. You can get some fun moments out of it. But now that it's going to name the next number one contender, that does add a lot of interest to it.
Because now it cannot just be like the people they want to get on the show. It could be like some surprises. It could be anything at this point. That's a very intriguing match right there.
Yes. Have a fatal 4-way for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. It's a 4-way Tokyo Terror ladder match. Very, very long match.
Say that 3 times fast.
This match looks like it's going to be heat. Intergalactic Jet Setters, team of Kevin Knight and Kushida will be taking on Ichiban Sweet Boys, which is Robbie Eagles, and Fujita, also taking on TJP and Akira, and of course, Bullet Club War Dogs.
Yes.
Clark Connor and Drilla Maloney. I'm still not sure who I believe is going to win this match. This match can go either way. Of course, the reigning champions are Kevin Knight and Kushida. This is up in the air for me. I'm not sure how I feel like this could go. I kind of think that the War Dogs could end up winning this. Just the way the War Dogs bum rushed their way back into this match, because they came back like, hey, we didn't lose to either of these guys. Give us a match. And I have something about it that just kind of tells me War Dogs can win this. They don't have to pin anybody. It's a ladder match. So right now, my pick's War Dogs.
This is so funny because I feel like earlier this year I was complaining about ladder. There was a ladder match on an AEW show or something. I was like, these ladder matches are too far. But recently I've been like, man, I haven't seen a good ladder match in a while. Then I heard about this match and I was all, damn, this ladder match is going to be heat. You know, like Wrestle Kingdom usually doesn't have a lot of like plunder matches and stuff like that. They just focus on the wrestling. So to have a match like this with like, think of a bunch of these guys that are going to be in this match in a ladder match. It's like so exciting. I feel like the War Dogs are what story they told. Even getting into the match, it feels like them winning makes the most sense. And like you said, it's a ladder match. They don't have to pin anybody. They get heat by escaping with the championships and running off. You know what I mean? It just makes a lot of sense for them to get to win. But I'm super excited to see a tag team ladder match in New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom specifically.
Yeah, I think Kevin Knight's going to do something wild.
Right?
I can't wait to see what he does in this match. But yeah, it's up in the air. I think War Dogs are my pick, but I could easily see TMDK picking up the win as well.
I could see Kushida and Kevin Knight keeping the belts also. You know, you never know.
Yeah, should be cool to see. Have the IWGP Women's Championship. Mayu taking on Azumi. Very excited for this match. Mayu has had an incredible year. And I think the fact that she's forced their hands like, nah, I've had an incredible year. Honestly, probably the best run with any IWGP belt this year.
Yep.
6 title defenses under her belt this year. And I mean, all of those title defenses were fire matches. So glad that she's getting her spot on this card. Deserved a spot last year, so glad she's getting this spot here. And Azumi is one of my favorite wrestlers out of Stardom, so I think this match is going to over deliver.
Yeah,
I do believe that Azumi is going to win, though. I just have a feeling that this is Azumi's match to win.
Right. As far as like it's Wrestle Kingdom and there's going to be people in there trying to have the best match they've ever had in their life. I feel like that's what this match is like. There's going to be so many great matches and great moments on this card, but these two women are coming to show y'all what it's all about. Like they're going to be going 1,000 miles per hour. Mayu has been having such a great run that she needs to be capped off with having a great match like this. And Azumi is, like you said, destined kind of for this. I feel like these two ladies got something to prove and they're going to prove it.
Yeah. Definitely think this is going to be one of the best matches of the night. Hopefully give the women time, let them showcase why people should be watching Stardom.
Right.
Also got a fatal 4-way for the New Japan World Television Championship. Ren Narita, the reigning champion, which I kind of forget for a second. And then I remembered how he won and immediately groaned. Ren Narita will be taking on Jeff Cobb, Ryohei Oiwa, and El Phantasmo. El Phantasmo just came back from a cancer diagnosis earlier this year. Very, very happy to see him back. Great to see him in good spirits.
Yep.
I would love it if LP won this match.
Yes.
I don't believe that he's going to, though. That's who I would like to see win. But this is another one where it feels like it's up in the air. Oiwa has had such a great return in New Japan. I could see him picking up the win here as well. I feel like it's going to be a pretty big night for TMDK. So I could see him getting a big win here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Ren is going to retain. That is my prediction for this match. So I think the other three have a good chance of winning. I'm going to go with Oyo. I think Oyo is going to pick up the win.
Yeah, I'm falling on the same lines that you think. I think it's going to be such a big night for the squad that Oyo is set up for this, and just because of the great matches that he's had throughout the year, building his stock after his return, like it makes a lot of sense for him to win. But the sentimental win would be with LP, and like I just want that to happen. But they don't have to, feed to us. It doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, I'm rooting for El Phantasmo to pick up the win here, but definitely could go either way between him and Oyo and Jeff Cobb. And we have a lumberjack match.
Yep,
with Presidente Tanahashi's career on the line. He will be taking on the leader of House of Torture, Evil. I mean, this feels pretty predictable. I don't see any way that Tanahashi loses this match, especially once they added the stipulation that he had to retire if he loses. I don't think he's going to retire. I can't see his last Wrestle Kingdom match being a lumberjack match against Evil. I just don't see that happening. And I'm so worried about how this match is going to deliver because I don't know what to make of any of this. All of the House of Torture shenanigans that I know are going to take place here, and it being a lumberjack match.
This is going to be worse than Kurt Angle and Baron Corbin if Tanahashi went out like this. Like we would be like Tanahashi would be every interview like, I can't believe they did this to me, you guys. But yeah, I can't imagine that in a lumberjack match against Evil with what are definitely going to be shenanigans would be the way you want to send out Tanahashi. We've definitely seen crazier things. I feel like we were talking about the rando match earlier, and like that usually is the shenanigans match. I feel like this is going to be like, they're like, put it in this lumberjack match. Like Tanahashi, he's not the greatest with his knees and stuff, so we're going to have to like have some extras around him to help. This one's going to be silly, maybe.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of shenanigans. It's going to be all the House of Torture spots, the dick-to-dick contact, all of the silly, the wire and stuff that Dick Toggle comes out there and tries to choke people up with. Yeah, not looking forward to that match.
And but, like Tanahashi can't go out like that.
No, don't do that, Gato. Don't do that to us. Let's cut it out. Don't do this.
Cut it out. But what if Tanahashi wants this? Tanahashi's like, I just want to go out on a silly bitch, you guys. Let's do a lumberjack match. That'd be crazy. I couldn't imagine.
That would be absurd. I do not want to see that. Not looking forward to this match, but I could see it being fun, like watching a train wreck.
I mean, they teased Evil being in like the main event and shit, so it's way better to see him here, I think,
Yes. I don't think anybody wants to see Evil in the main event either.
Nah, we don't want that.
But do have Shingo Takagi taking on Konosuke Takeshita for the Never Openweight Championship. If Takeshita is still AEW International Champion, that belt will also be on the line. I think there's a pretty good chance he'll still be champion, unfortunately. But, man, this match, this is going to be a heater. Very much looking forward to this. Konosuke got two big matches during this weekend, and this one, man, Shingo, I've been saying for the longest, he's one of their top guys over there. Incredible wrestler to watch, and to catch the year he's had, the G1 run. Very glad he's going to be a part of this Wrestle Kingdom card. And man, what an opponent!
Yeah, if you were like, who's the hardest from both of these companies that aren't like gonna be in the main event, but like embody both companies and what this show Wrestle Kingdom represents, it's these two guys. Like the shit that I talked earlier about Mayu and Azumi, like these guys are going to be on the same bit of like, we're in this, we know like there's bigger stories, we know that there's bigger things involved, but we're coming to have the best match on this show and show you guys that we're two of the baddest wrestlers in the world. The run that Takeshita's had this year with that championship on the indies, just like every match of his is must see. With Shingo, who every match of his is must see, and Wrestle Kingdom and the stipulations, everything surrounding it, this is going to be one of the best matches of the show, honestly, like far and away. Best matches of the weekend.
Yes. could easily be match of the night.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah. Doki will be taking on El Desperado for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship.
It's gonna be dope too.
This matchup is, I mean, these two guys, Doki has been fantastic this year. Despy, of course, is a fixture in this division. So I figured this will be a strong match. I'm surprised that Master Wato did not get his match on this card as well. But I'm sure they've got something for Master Wato, especially with the way he lost earlier this year. There's got to be something big for him coming next year.
Yeah, I think with the way that the junior tag titles are on the line in a 4-way, they usually have the IWGP Junior Championship in a 4-way match, and I was surprised that they hadn't added more wrestlers to this. But also with the way that it's been going and the way that these guys been building, I'm happy to see them in a one-on-one. Sometimes it's just like two of the best, and they're having that no extracurriculars going on is the way to go. This is another match that I think is going to be quietly fire, so I'm looking forward to this one too.
Yes. David Finlay versus Yota Suji for the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. I've been saying all year, this has been a fantastic year for David Finlay. I've come a long way in my enjoyment of Finlay, because at first I was like, I don't know, guys.
Maybe not.
Why are we making this guy the leader of Bullet Club? But he has been tremendous this year. His heel work has been fantastic. He's been wrestling really, really well. Had a great Wrestle Kingdom match earlier this year. Was great in the G1 as well. Looking forward to this one. Suji's one of their next up guys as well. I feel like he's right there on the cusp of being the top star. I think Suji's going to pick up the win here. And if the only way I could see Suji not picking up the win here is if they're trying to kick this down the road to get to Yuya's return, and Yuya's the guy that beats Finlay.
Yeah, that could definitely work. Finlay is definitely in the most improved of the year category. I was the same at the beginning. I was like, why isn't Gabe Kidd the one? What's going on here? But then Finlay was like, all right, I see here what you guys are doing. I'm going to play this a different way. I'm going to start being super strong on the mic. I'm going to start having great matches. Like, he really earned this position. He could get a big win here and retain his championship, which would work for the story that he's been telling. But also, I don't know, you want to get one of them young lions, one of the musketeers, a big win here, and on Wrestle Kingdom, this might be it, because it's like, this might be the match to do it. I don't know. It could go either way. Also,
yeah, that's kind of why I think Suji might win, because I don't think the other two musketeers are going to win.
I'm saying, right?
I don't think Ren is going to win, and I don't think the Shoda is going to win in the main event, unless this is going to be like a big shock upset. But also, I do see money in Finlay keeping the belt, because again, the story of Yuya coming back after the G1 and getting his win on Finlay makes a lot of sense. So I'm tentatively now going to change my pick and say Finlay, because I think it does make more sense for Yuya to beat him.
I'm gonna say was, yeah, and I think like I said, him telling the story and then paying off what he's been saying at Wrestle Kingdom it helps Finlay a lot more, and you're gonna get a big win out of Suji this year eventually anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Finlay too.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that both of us would pick Finlay to pick this win, but I think it makes the most sense for Finlay to come out of this as still champion.
Right.
We've got Tetsuya Naito taking on Hiromu Takahashi in a singles match, which was built up out of the tag league, which somehow we got here. But I mean, they had a fantastic run in the tag league. They've been teasing this match for a long time. At one point, I was very worried that Naito would still be champion, and that's how we would get to this match. But this match has been teased for so long. They have so much history here. It doesn't really need a title. So very much looking forward to this. I think this can be, man. Naito's had an interesting year. Because sometimes he'll bring his A game. Sometimes it's like, like the Forbidden Door match is one of those, what happened here? But when he's motivated, he's had strong matches this year. And I think he's going to be motivated to make Takahashi look good here.
Yes.
I think that Hiromu is going to pick up the win. It makes the most sense for him to pick up the win. It seems like they're grooming him to move him up to the heavyweight soon. If they want to do that, he needs a big win like this on a big stage.
Yeah, I feel like Naito really brings it when he has an important role in the match, when he's gonna when the win or loss is gonna help his opponent. I feel like this is one of those matches where, like, if there was any reason for him to be motivated, this would be this particular match. And I think that's why this is gonna be one of his best matches that he's had in a while. Takahashi has always excelled in Wrestle Kingdom moments. And with the story that they're telling, they don't have to do anything super crazy. They just have to tell a great story, do what they can do there, and it could be on the way. But this still is one of the most intriguing matches on the card, because you never know. Like, we're saying all this, and I'm like, yeah, Naito could come in motivated, but he also could be like, fuck it,
Yeah, I just can't see him coming in and not having a good match with Hiromu, with all the story they have here, with all the history between these two. I mean, we're talking about almost 12 years of history here.
Long time.
I can't see him coming in and not being motivated to make Hiromu look good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but that is our second to last match, I'm assuming. The main event, which very shocked coming into this show that this is our main event.
Yes.
But Zack Saber Jr. will be defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Shoda Umino. This has to be the big make or break moment for Shoda. I'm still a bit perplexed why they picked Shoda for this spot, especially with a champion like Zack Saber. But it's got to be a sink or swim moment for Shoda. At this point, you have to see what you have in a guy. You got to put him on this big stage and see if he can deliver, because you've put such high expectations on him, naming him one of the three horsemen, three musketeers, and you've made this guy out to be, the next Tanahashi, the next big top baby face of this company. So you've got to see what you have in him. And to his credit, I think in the build to this match, he's gotten a lot better. Like, the fans have been more and more on his side. You can see more people want to see him pick up the win. I think this is Zack Saber's night, though. I don't see him losing. I think this was booked in a way to give Zack Saber a win over somebody that has been, positioned as the future. Because a big part of the year for Zack Saber is showing people of, like, hey, everybody looked over me when Okada left and Naito's declining. And you have this big question mark, Will Ospreay gone, Jay White gone. And people just kind of immediately jumped past me and go, all of these little young guys, they're going to move up to the top of the card. So I love the idea of him being in the main event as the big obstacle for Shoda to get past. But I don't think the Shoda is going to beat him.
And, New Japan loves that story, too, of they're going to have the footage of Shoda after the loss in the ring. Zack Saber's in the background holding the championship up. And in 5 years, we're going to be like, oh, remember he was in the main event and he didn't do it, and then he did it. Like, this tells that story. And, like, it's good. It's going to be good for Zack Saber to get a win because of what he did to earn the championship. And, like, him losing it this quickly would be crazy as hell. But I think, it's one of those, they need to prove to everybody, to Shoda himself, to the company, of, like, are we for reals? Like, is this really going to be it? Is he going to excel in this moment, or is he going to sink? Like, you just don't really know. You don't know until you do it. But I'm like, this is a huge moment. They got this show the next day. They got Stardom representation. So much is going into this Wrestle Kingdom that I'm like, in the main event, after what we're going to see on the show with Shoda and Zack Saber, is going to be a tough card to follow, Yeah.
Shoda, of course, has the match the next day against Claudio Castagnoli, Wrestle Dynasty. And then Ricochet will be taking on Zack Saber Jr. Wow. Assuming that it's an exhibition match. They have never said if it will be for the title. So I'm assuming it's just an exhibition match.
Right. It'll be interesting if maybe they do add the stipulation, or that it is for the championship. With what Ricochet's been doing, that's going to be such a good match.
What a year for Ricochet.
Forgot Ricochet been acting kind of wild on the internet, though. Ricochet, what's up, my homie? Like, I see what you're doing, but I don't know if you should be doing that.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see any.
You don't know? Oh, good. No. Good for you.
I didn't see any of that.
Good for you, my brother. Ricochet's trying to fly too close to the sun with the fool that he looks like. That's crazy.
Common?
That's what it should be. I wish. If he was doing a just right thing, he's like, actually, I'm a basketball player now.
No, he's just like wearing the koofies and wearing like the newsboy hats and like the sweater vests and stuff. That's what he's doing.
He walking around with the last poets. He's just like, no, I got these random OGs with me. Like, I wish, but no, he's doing a totally opposite of that. Ricochet, we was liking this. We are not gonna like that. If that's what you're doing.
Yeah, but that has been our Wrestle Kingdom 19 preview. Very excited for this show.
Good show.
As I've said many times on this podcast, I'm a big New Japan fan. So this is really the top of the year for New Japan, one of the most exciting shows of the year. And I think this card is fantastic. They've shown in the last few months that New Japan still has a lot to offer, rebuilding after losing a lot of their biggest stars. And I think they've done a great job of creating new stars and building new guys up.
Yeah, there was like the middle of the year where I was like, I went to the New Japan show in May in Ontario, and Shoda was in the main event against Jon Moxley, and I was like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen from here, but like he's definitely changed the perception of how he was then and earned his position. I was like, I don't know New Japan, but like they've definitely gotten to. They had a bunch of strong New Japan strong shows and a bunch of strong tournament matches and shows. And so for them to develop this great card out of that is exciting. Like I think 2025 is going to be even better because like 2024 felt like a rebuilding year. They're trying to establish these young guys, and 2025 is going to start off in a really dope way.
Yeah, I mean, Wrestle Kingdom this year was fantastic. We did get that great Bryan Okada match this year. We did have some big, we did have some big moments at Wrestle Kingdom, but this card, I think it feels like a Wrestle Kingdom card. It feels like I said, these are big, could be star-making moments for a few guys. So very much looking forward to this.
It's gonna be dope. This start. Do you have the times in front of you?
I don't have the times. I assume it's gonna be a 3 a.m. watch for me, like usual.
Does it happen before? It happens before we come back, right?
Yeah. So next episode, Wrestle Kingdom will be in the can. So we'll be able to talk about what happened at Wrestle Kingdom and talk about Wrestle Dynasty, which will be the next day.
It'll be like that morning, January 4th is next Saturday. Got you.
Yes.
Dope. That's going to be really dope. I'm excited about it. Let's get into a few super chats and we'll move forward. Tony P, the homie, says, so of course, Mox warned POTW after last night. POTW.
Petty of the week.
Petty of the week. Earned Petty of the week. Okay, there you go. Murdering Rampage. I was fitting in. It was a fitting into the show. We got Tay Mello back in Stardom, tagging with Mina against Thekla and Athena, which is an insane match. With that, Happy New Year's and be blessed, everyone. Appreciate you, Tony P, for your contributions throughout the year, and appreciate you for this generous super chat.
Yeah, we got that announcement that she's going to be a part of that card.
Crazy.
Next year, I believe. That's in January. Of course, Stardom has a big show to end this year. Some of the matches on that card are crazy. Looking forward to that as well. A lot of wrestling.
Knowing that we have two, with what we talked with Athena when we interviewed her and what we know of her and wanting to be in Japan, we have two already insane matches announced for her in Japan. It's so exciting.
Yeah. Glad that she made the International Women's Cup. I expected as much because who else from Ring of Honor could you really have representing the women's division at this point? But still very excited to see her on that card.
We would have rioted if it wasn't her. I'll just let you guys know that. Shit would have been crazy. The homie Lab Glass says, great year, guys.
It has been a fun year at times, sometimes not as fun, but overall, it was a good year.
There's been some moments where I'm like, you know what, Phil? Let's burn it down.
It's definitely been some moments where I was looking around like, hey, y'all sure we want to keep doing this? Like,
you sure about this?
I don't know, man.
I keep thinking about who keeps bringing up. Denise brought up us at Will Washington's party, and she was like, "You kept disappearing." I was like, "I was gone off that Hennessy like crazy, Denise." Like there was moments that are like blurry, and she was like, "Yeah, you would take a shot of Hennessy, eat a bit of sandwich, then you disappear, come back, take a shot of Hennessy, eat a sandwich, disappear." I'm like, "Yeah, it was a night like that." And I was just like, me and Phil like really tore the fucking. We really took a bottle of Hennessy down that night, and like that was a pretty crazy moment of this year, also. When you said you were bringing it, I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be one of those nights."
Listen, I don't ever want to. The way that Will and Denise's friendship is different than our friendship with Will. Our friendship is just different.
Way different.
Our friendship is just different than it is with Will. It just is. Like it's so many moments like that. Like I just saw a picture pop up from Vegas. I think that was like 2 years ago. I was like, I forgot about this picture. I remember where we were. What a day.
That day we drank for like 12 hours straight.
What a day.
That was a wild day. Man. What were we doing? What wrestling weekend was that? Was that Double or Nothing?
That was Double or Nothing. That was the day after Punk won the title.
All right. Damn. We've had some wild times. The homie Tenruza says, "Love to you guys and all who is watching. This is the year of K-Dot and has been wild, but you guys have made it fun and so entertaining. World's End, let's fucking go."
Yeah, definitely the year of Kendrick Lamar, the year of hate. And yeah, Kendrick, that's another thing that was this year. That that interview that kicked all of this off with Cat Williams was this year.
We did not mention Cat, who started. He's like, this is how the year's going to be, and it was exactly as he predicted. He's Nostradamus.
Yeah. What a year.
That was this year. Fucking Shannon Sharp has been putting out a bunch of them like this. Like he's just interviewing everybody at this point.
What a wild year for him as well. The interviews, the whole IG Live fiasco. What a wild year.
Oh, I don't know how I forgot about that. I always see his little advertisement for there's like a dick pills or something that he's down with. Like it's always popping up in my thing. It's Shannon Sharp, he's like doing this thing. I'm like, that was so weird. And that was they did that. That was a stunt, a publicity stunt. And it worked. Tenruza also says, "Phil, Jeopardy, Lindsey was great at. That was fun. Hope during your 2025 you don't do stupid things like the Canadian. He is wilding out here."
What are you talking about?
I'm guessing Drake.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a few guys. I thought you meant Copeland for a second. Copeland did I don't know.
Copeland did that.
You could just did the splash. It's cool.
Yeah, you could have just did the splash. Copeland did that. Then some other fools tried to do that and they got hurt too. I'm like, what if we just don't do the splash off the top off a cage?
Yeah,
it's not that needed.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. As always, appreciate everybody that tuned in to watch us do trivia. Yeah, I watch a lot of Jeopardy. I'm sorry, guys. Jeopardy was my favorite game show growing up. I used to love Jeopardy.
Listen, I didn't know what I was up against. I didn't know Phil was a Jeopardy wizard. I didn't know Will was gonna be trying to get Denise to win. I didn't know what I was up against. I went up to have fun with my friends.
Yeah. Of course, rest in peace to Alex Trebek. Just so many moments of my childhood watching Jeopardy, man. Great show.
What a time. Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune back to back. Come on, man. What y'all know about that? Brian Anthony Rivers says, "I see WWE out here trying to shut down World's End with the live show and the unreleased WWECW show. And do you see NFL overplaying their hands, trying to little brother the NBA, CFB, and soccer?"
Yeah, I think NFL is going to try and encroach more on other people's business. I think that's why they tried to make such a big to-do about their not even Thursday, their Wednesday night game. And yeah, I just thought about Thursday night because, of course, the Bears had Thursday night this weekend. 10 losses in a row, but who's counting?
Wanted to ruin your Chicagoans' holiday real good. You know, oh, you guys had a great Christmas. Well, how about this?
Yeah, Bulls stunk it up the other night as well. Yeah, not having the most fun watching sports. That interview where they were talking to Caleb Williams and they somebody asked about the fans booing. He's saying, "Look, it's been a rough few years for this fan base," and I was like, "Yeah." And somebody said, "This is a weird response." I was like, "No, he's right." I've been a Bears fan for a long time, and seeing two things: seeing Seth Rollins at the game, he had on his clean Letterman jacket. He was all excited to be out there. He was on with Spice Adams. He was on Spice Adams' IG, and then seeing CM Punk talk about why he doesn't watch the Bears and saying McCaskey should sell the team. Yeah. It pretty much sums it up.
The fandom is just up and down, up and down. Everybody's just stressed out. It's very unfortunate. Oh yeah, but shout out to Brian for that generous super chat. I do want to check out that WWECW unreleased show that they have today. Probably not, because I'm going to get into World End with Denise for the watch along later here today, but definitely probably tomorrow. That's going to be super dope. The homie Coffee Black says, "Happy holidays, everybody. My favorite moments of 2024 have to be the rise of the Credit Boys and Dwayne showing up to be an agent of chaos during WrestleMania season."
Yeah, Credit Boys this year they was running wild, buddy.
I didn't think they could get to some of the places that they did, but they did it. Like when they started added in the end credits, like Dick Wolf on Law and Order, I was like, all right, this is crazy.
Bro. Man, the commercial, just so many moments.
The commercial,
like, dog, you sure? You sure you don't want to just like? I'm like, show wrestlers.
Are you going to be wrestling on this show, dog? Because you are all over this. Like, what? Like, you got a roster full of people that we're gonna see on Netflix, but you're like, it's me, dog.
Nah, it's me again. Nah, y'all thought we was gonna put somebody else on first. Nah, it's me.
Nah, why would we do that? I'm here.
I did this. Just in case you didn't know, I did this.
Are the BetOnline people taking bets on who starts the Netflix show? Because it's got to be 1,000,001 that Triple H is the first one you see on screen.
Well, you are definitely opening that show with Bow Down to the King. There's no way you're not. There's no way. You're definitely getting an eye. Are you ready to start this show? There's no way you're not.
But we're ready, though. That's the funny, bro.
We've been ready, bro. You've been asking us, "Are you ready?" all year, dog. We've been saying yes. Like, you already know the answer.
We've been ready.
You've been asking it all year, dog. Yes. Again, yes.
We're ready again. Yeah, we're here. We're at the Inuit Dome or whatever. A bunch of people have bought tickets. We are ready,
bro. Out there with Joel Embiid asking us if we're ready, at concerts asking if we're ready, dog. Well, you got the answer, dog. Like,
he was at the Travis Scott show asking, "Are we ready?"
Bro,
we are ready, dog.
You've effectively warmed the crowd up, bro. You've been warming the crowd up all year, dog. Like, you got it.
I'm crying, dude. Oh shit. We are ready, but he gonna be out there front and center. He probably gonna be out at the end too to hold somebody's arm up.
You know he is.
What's wrong with him, man? Oh shit, that was a great laugh. That's all of our super chats for now. I appreciate y'all. We definitely about to hear "Bow Down to the King."
You know that's the first thing we're hearing on Netflix. What's coming?
Oh man, I'm crying.
Trying to check to see if we have any humper chats before we move forward.
Yeah, I was just reading that they said, "Oh, did you read about or see about the King stuff?" I was just reading about. They fired their head coach. Like, it's going down over there.
Yeah, I did see Mike Brown got fired. The Kings have not had a strong year, so I kind of saw something happening. I don't think it's Mike Brown's fault that they're not good. I just don't think that DeRozan fits.
He doesn't.
I don't think he fits with the team because they're a fast-paced 3-point shooting team.
Young and gun.
Yeah, DeRozan can slash pretty good, but he's not like a transition player like those guys are. And he's not a 3-point shooter. He's a midi guy. So I just don't know if he fits well, and then they've had some other setbacks. I did not expect them to look this bad, though. They have not been good. I kind of expected Minnesota to take a step back because I knew that Julius Randle trade was not going to work out for them, but I didn't expect Sacramento to be this bad. Orlando Magic continue to be just like the the biggest surprise of this year. You cannot keep those guys down. They keep getting injuries, and they still find a way to win games. You are not going to stop the Orlando Magic, I guess.
They're one of those young teams that they're just like, oh, somebody got hurt. Get another young guy in there to play the same shit and really go for it. They're just hungry. It's crazy.
Yeah, hopefully Banchero's back before the end of the season. He was having a really good start to the season, so hopefully he does well. Come on, Caleb. We don't need to talk about that Hawks win. We don't need to do that. Hawks putting up 50 points in the fourth quarter on the Chicago Bulls the other night because
they did what now? Yeah. 50 points in the fourth quarter?
50 points. Yeah.
Goddamn.
Yeah, we don't need to go any further.
If they call like 21-point skunk, like after a while you got to be like, all right, stop.
Yeah. Not a great time for Chicago sports.
Pretty rude.
But yeah, we do not have any Hubbard chats.
All right. You want to get into World's End before we get into the year in review, or how do you want to move forward?
Well, we should, I guess, get into the last week of the Continental Classic because that would make more sense getting into the pay-per-view. Continental Classic continued this week. We got 2 Christmas episodes. Got the Christmas episode of Collision, and of course got the Dynamite on 34th Street, both taking place at Hammerstein Ballroom. Had a lot of matches this week that would decide who was going to come out of their league because it ended up being very close towards the end. What did you make of the Continental Classic overall this year? Because I enjoyed it, but some parts of it I was just like,
There were a couple of the results of the matches where I was like, I would have maybe taken a different route to get to where they're going to get to. Like, we all knew where this is ending up. We all know where this is ending up just off of who's in it. But like, Will Ospreay was being very generous in this, Philip Lindsey. Like, he gave up a couple of victories where I was like, you probably didn't have to. Like, I think we would have been okay if the brother would have went over. But I understand what you're doing. Like, you're trying to tell stories for Darby and Ricochet and these people. Like, it looks good you getting a big win over Ospreay, but he's been so generous throughout the whole year. Too generous, yes. I think, at points that he didn't have to keep giving it up like that. But I think like the spirit of what this tournament is, I think it was needed at this time. Like, AEW's having some identity issues. They're transitioning into streaming on Max, and like they're going to be gaining a bunch of new fans. They needed to establish again what AEW is all about. It's all about having the best wrestlers in the world wrestle against each other. We're the best wrestle. And I felt like there were so many strong tournament matches in the Continental Classic that it showed like this is what AEW is about. No matter what you try to talk and no matter what about attendance, blah, blah, blah. When Will Ospreay and Darby Allin get in the ring, that shit's going to be insane. When Brody King and Ricochet get in the ring, that shit's going to be crazy. Like, if the best wrestlers in the world are in there against each other, it's going to be heat. And that's why it was like perfect timing. Again, there were some results where I was like, yeah, that's an interesting choice. But I think what it represented, I think it hit the mark as a tournament this year.
So you're a believer in this Suit Williams article that I saw everywhere yesterday that this company has identity issues?
I did not see this article. I
thought that's what you're referencing.
No, I'm not. I swear to God, I did not. I didn't see it. No. That's funny. That's really funny.
People were very not happy with Suit and Voice of Wrestling yesterday over this article.
I think AEW does have identity issues though, and I love AEW. I cover them every day. I'm going to talk about the show tonight, but I don't think that's wrong at all.
I think it's fair. I think he had Tony Storm in the headline, and Tony Storm was the thumbnail for it. And so I think people immediately they want to immediately go, well, no, this Tony Storm stuff has been good. I don't think the article was wrong. I just wouldn't have made Tony Storm one of the focal points of it, because Tony's one of the areas where the character and story stuff has been working for them. And I do think that they have to strike the right balance between, the story stuff and having great matches. But I don't think his actual sentiment was wrong. I agree with most of his sentiment. I just wouldn't have made Tony Storm like one of the fixtures of it.
I probably would have made like Mox the thumbnail, because that's really where I think that's where or Ospreay even better. It's like Ospreay has been put into all the positions he should have been, but then there's sometimes where I'm like, again, I think he's being too generous. Like, you're Ospreay, bro. You should be cleaning house out there.
I think Max Adam Cole you could have made like the fixture, but he was trying to make this correlation between Tony Storm having amnesia and the company also having identity issues. I get where he was going with it, but I didn't totally agree with.
Still wouldn't use Tony Storm. Yeah, that's not the best one to use.
But yeah, let's get into Continental Classic, because we did set up the semifinals and the finals for tonight. Ricochet, as you said, took on Will Ospreay on Collision. I did not know what to make of this match, because we're going back to it after that match earlier this year. We flipped the dynamic around now. Ricochet is officially a heel. I think we can say Ricochet got the most out of the Hammerstein shows. He got the best reaction. He played off that crowd the best. When he came out there for the Ospreay match and they started throwing the toilet paper at him, and Ospreay is just in the corner dying laughing, and he's legitimately getting mad, throwing the rolls of tissue back in the crowd. Very, very funny.
Loved it. So good. It was perfect. Especially being like connection with Hammerstein and Ring of Honor. And they used to do this bit with Rest in Peace to Jimmy Rave, where they would throw toilet paper at him and he would get legitimately mad and he would throw it back. But this just felt so perfectly with where Ricochet's character is going. Like, yeah, he's benefited the most from that crowd being like, we don't care about your flips, dude. We hate you.
Yes. This was very funny. The heel turn is definitely cranked up in the last few weeks. He's been fantastic, coming out there and looking like a huge dork, and it's getting over. The leaning into him being awkward in his promos, and it fits this character he's doing so well. The stuff he had backstage this week with Swerve was also great. I have to assume that's the match going forward sometime next year. That makes a lot of sense based on the two guys. That's going to be very, very funny to me.
Insanely funny. The funniest thing of all time. Every time they have a promo together, I'm like, this is the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, but yeah, this match was a lot of fun. Ricochet cheated to pick up the win, and then he rolled out of the ring and gave that goofy laugh he did, and very, very funny stuff. Also played into the backstage stuff with Swerve, where Swerve was talking about the year he had. Ricochet again told him, I'm going to do what you could not do. You did not win a Continental Classic, but I am going to win. I wouldn't have expected coming into this tournament that Ricochet would be one of the guys that I would like to see going to the finals, but given his heel turn and how well it's working for him, how well it's turned around kind of the perception for him, I think it makes a lot of sense for him to make it to the finals.
Yeah, in this position, if you want to like move forward, have Ricochet in a higher position, like getting him to the finals off of how he got into this company would make a lot of sense. So how did you feel about it? How did you feel about him getting the victory over Will Ospreay? Was it as preposterous as most people were making it out to be?
I think he needed to win more, to be honest. Yeah. For this heel turn, I think he needs things like that to get people even more upset with him. And, you had such an uphill battle with Ricochet and Ospreay, because you're never going to top the legacy of their matches from New Japan. You got to find a way to come at it in a different way. And so adding the character elements and adding different things here of Ospreay being the man and Ricochet going like, well, wait a minute, I'm just as good as this guy, and having to do cheap things to win, I think it works.
Yeah, especially in like if you're trying to get Ricochet over and act like he is the person that he talks about, him getting a win. I was telling Denise, I was like, if anybody in this locker room, Ricochet makes the most sense of getting a win over Ospreay, because they've been comparing them their whole careers, and like if anybody would know how to beat Will Ospreay, it's Ricochet.
Yes, I think I think this is the best iteration of him as a character we've seen in mainstream wrestling.
I was gonna say ever, yeah.
Because I mean, when you think of his long career, like he's had so many great moments, like in ring, like doing incredible stuff. I mean, and he's done some fantastic things in this tournament. Like I mean, the 630 through the table. He's still a fantastic wrestler, but
Yeah.
I don't think that they've ever managed to get a natural fit for him as a character. This feels like the most natural he's felt as a character on television to me.
I've always been a big proponent of Ricochet, Lucha Underground. They had a translate or somebody speaking Spanish for him. Essentially, he didn't really get into that. When he came into WWE, they never really established what he was beyond the flippy guy and like, I'm good at flips and I always lose, but now I'm going to not lose anymore. Like it never really had a character to get into. Now it feels like this is what this guy would really be like. This guy can do all the flips that Ospreay can. He can do all the amazing things that he says. He probably would be a little bit cocky about it. And now it's like, that's how it feels. He's like, hey, did you see what I did out there, Swerve? I just beat Darby's ass. You can't do it like that. Like that's what I always felt like I wanted Ricochet to be like, because I can't do a double moonsault full. Like if you can, you should brag about it. And now he's starting to brag about it.
Yeah. So I thought this was great.
Yeah.
Also got Daniel Garcia taking on Shelton Benjamin. Talk about a guy that has benefited so much from this tournament. Shelton Benjamin has been tremendous throughout this tournament. I mean, he's really been great since he came to AEW, but this tournament has done so much for him. And it's really set him up for his next big feud, I'd assume, because the Garcia match came after beat down Garcia on Dynamite. Garcia picked up the come behind win here. This has to set up Garcia versus Shelton at some point for the TNT title, I would assume.
Yeah, that moment where they beat down Garcia and Shelton held up the championship, and we were like, oh, that looks kind of good on there. And so I felt like that was the precursor to this. Shelton has benefited almost more on the level of what Kyle Fletcher has gotten out of this tournament of like, we always know Shelton that people talked about for years. He should be world champion, should have been world champion, all this stuff. But coming into this system with these young guys and this, how AEW is, we didn't really know what his place was going to be. So getting him immediately in this tournament with all the young go-hards, the heavy hitters, and showing that he's going to be able to keep up and have great matches and dominate and be a veteran, I think it was great for Shelton. This was another one of those matches of like, if you know, like this guy in the match with Shelton has been watching Shelton for 20 years and trying to see him figure out how to take all the things that he's known from him and beat them in the match has been great. Having Garcia kind of roll him up, catch him off guard, I think was a great move.
Yeah. Thought this was a strong match for both of these guys. It kind of frustrates me that this tournament didn't do what I hoped it would have done for Garcia, especially because he went straight from his TNT title win and jumped in this tournament. I kind of feel like it would have been more beneficial for him to just defend his belt for the last few weeks and set up a feud for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But it kind of feels like with this and what this tournament did for Shelton, this sets up Shelton where he's in a good place going into that feud. But now you set people up to not want Garcia to win. With how much people are behind Shelton, a lot of people are going to want Shelton to win the title.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part about it is like, it's gonna, if they immediately get to the Shelton thing and Shelton beat him, it's gonna feel like Daniel Garcia's run never got kicked off. Like he immediately got into this. He wasn't defending it. It didn't feel like, we always kind of think the TNT champion might get into like an open challenge thing. And that's kind of what I feel like Garcia, if he had a couple of those matches on Collision and stuff where he'd just be cooking as a champion, that would establish him more. He had some super fun matches in this, and definitely the final match he had against Kyle Fletcher that we'll get into here was fire. But I think there could have been something more done with him as TNT champion. There's still more time. Like it's not guaranteed that he's going to give it up to Shelton, but like you said, people are primed now for Shelton to win.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate because I feel like he had such a feel-good win at the last pay-per-view. Right. I wish they would have capitalized more on him as TNT champion.
Same.
But yeah, at the end of the night, we had Claudio Castagnoli taking on Darby Allin. Darby Allin has been the MVP of this tournament, in my opinion. Even when he loses, he's come out of it having such great matches. He's had a great match here with Claudio that led into one of the finishes from Dynamite. And, I mean, overall, there's been bits of this tournament that I was kind of like, why would you book that this way? But in terms of like all the story stuff and some of the stuff connecting the way it did, I feel like this tournament overall was better than last year's tournament. You're not going to beat Eddie Kingston's run throughout last year's tournament and the story they did with him and Brian, but I think they did enough other stories here where they had multiple things going that ended up connecting into the story for the semifinals and the finals that overall I would say it was a better tournament. And the matches, I feel like we had a tournament here where we got Okada versus Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah.
The highs of this tournament, I feel like, were a bit higher than last year's.
Yeah, that's exactly where I feel like the matches in this, we had like the Darby and Ospreay matches, like one of the best matches of the year. Like, we're going to remember this tournament specifically for matches like this. They had so many of those, like Brody King was on fire, Ricochet was on fire. There were so many people that were going the extra mile that I think this one etches out the last one just because of moments like this. There's so many, like, it's just dynamite, and we're getting two fools that are going to have a fire ass matches and established people a little bit better, I think, than last year.
Yeah, because I mean, like we said, what it did for Ricochet and his heel turn here, what it did for Brody coming out of this, Brody feels like $1 million, even though he didn't win a bunch of his matches. He still feels like a big baby face coming out of this. What it's continued to do for Claudio. Claudio is another guy that has been one of the highlights of this tournament. When you just put that guy in there and let him wrestle, go figure. Not that hard, man. The guy is very good at wrestling.
Works every time. I'll give Claudio 12 minutes with any wrestler on the card, and you're probably going to get some fire. What it's done for Commander didn't win a bunch of matches, but like he had so many strong showings in this and got the crowd into him, and that helped with the Ring of Honor stuff. Like, I think this tournament did a lot for a number of these guys.
Beast Mortos as well. Beast Mortos didn't win any of his matches, but he was fantastic throughout this tournament.
Seeing him against Okada, like, what?
Yeah, this definitely put him on a bigger stage, and hopefully they've got something for him next year, because I thought he was incredible in his matches.
Yeah, he really played his role maybe better than anybody, of just like, I'm going to get in here, have an amazing match with these guys and lose, but like coming out of it, you're still going to remember him.
Yes. On Dynamite, we got Will Ospreay versus Brody King. Very strong match for both of these guys. Like I said, Brody King has been incredible in this tournament. Will Ospreay, of course, picked up the win to edge his way into the finals after some pretty high-profile losses. Didn't expect him to come into this and struggle so much into this. If you would have told me that Kyle Fletcher was going to have a better tournament run than Ospreay when this thing started, I would have been looking around like, no way. But here we are.
Yeah, I think Ospreay has, right along with Darby, like every single one of Ospreay's matches have been something in this tournament. Like every time he's on the screen, you're like, oh my God, like the way that he could do it with every single person, no matter what, like he's going to have that Ospreay match is insane. Like the stream yesterday, we were asking everybody what were they looking forward to the most. 99% of them are like Ospreay. This is the year of Ospreay. Everybody's just talking about Ospreay. His matches are everything. Like this tournament established him even further. Like we already knew he was the guy, but then he went and had a banger match with every single person in every single match. It was like, this guy's insane. And to do it with Brody King here, who also has been having a super strong run, establishing him. I love the match of trying to outstrike Brody King because he learned and established his striking Ospreay in New Japan against a bunch of heavy hitters, but Brody King being like, I don't care about none of that. I'm going to chop your face off. I'm going to club your back. I'm going to lariat your head off. Like him just being like, I don't care about none of that. And then Ospreay having to use his strength to win the match and ending with the Stormbreaker. Tremendous.
Yeah, very strong match for him. No surprise there. Ospreay versus Darby, to me, is still the best match of the tournament. One of the best matches of this year. So no surprise. Ospreay has been amazing this year. Sick. I don't see how you are not making plans to make him champion next year. He's just on a different level. I don't see how. I mean, when I was going through all of the matches to get into our year review stuff, there were like 6 Ospreay matches that I could immediately think of. It started to feel like, what was the best Ospreay match of this year?
That's what it was when we did our list. Denise and I was like, we should have just did best Osprey match because that's what it is. Like he still got 2 more tonight too. It ain't even over. Like you know what I mean? That's what this guy is like. It's not done. He might give us 2 more insane ones just to finish off the year, and he's had so many of them that it's ridiculous. We're gonna get into the World's End and how we feel about where he's gonna end up in this tournament a little bit after this. So yeah.
Yes. Darby versus Ricochet was a lot of fun. More of Ricochet healing it up. Darby looked fantastic in this match. Still one of the best television wrestlers there is in any company, in my opinion.
Yep.
This was a lot of fun. I love the finish of it. I love Darby just getting right there where he's getting ready to beat Ricochet, and then Ricochet wins via time limit draw, and he gets out and he acts like he's conquered Darby like this big hero. Loved everything about that. Loved the tie-in to the very next match with Commander and using the finish from the match from Collision. I thought that was great storytelling.
Smart. Yeah.
But yeah, this finish, because some of the time limit draws sometimes they kind of feel predictable. This one, I thought that it helped both guys because it helped Ricochet as a heel because he came out of it acting like I'm a big deal. I'm now with that win, ended up in the lead in his league after barely surviving Darby, and it made Darby look great as well.
Yeah, I thought this match was the opposite of what Osprey and Darby did because there was some plunder in this. They were like, there was one point though they started going a million miles per hour, and Ricochet was like, the Ricochet that we know, like the Ricochet that could be world champion, came out in this match at one point. He hits the 630 through the table. Like he felt like the most confident guy in the world at one point. I was like, oh yeah, Ricochet is coming to win this. Like he don't care about nothing. Like he's really gonna try to win this tournament. And Darby is just like you said, the best TV match wrestler there is. Like you can't get the energy that he does with just a simple bump or sometimes not simple bump that could just change the trajectory of a whole match, get a crowd to switch into something different. That's how strong of a contender he is. I love that Ricochet got the win. The only thing that is unfortunate, I think, about this whole thing is this means that Darby's not going to have a World's End match, and I think that Darby should have a World's End match.
I agree. They're trying to build this story of him making his way up to the match with Mox and earning this big match. I don't know how well it's working because you've given him some losses this year that didn't really make sense to me. And that was kind of my issue coming out of All In as well. You set him up to take 2 big losses. And again, while I feel like he was the MVP of this tournament, he had great matches. Some of the booking for him has been a little bit wonky.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Like I feel like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, Darby should be the one to beat Mox, and they're trying to build the story to get there. But like building the story, I'm like, interesting choice. Like most of the big matches he's taken a loss. Like it hasn't mattered a lot of the time because at the end of it, you're still like, Darby's amazing. But you still need to establish him as something if he is going to beat Mox. You can't continue to have him tell these stories and lose every match and not be featured on the pay-per-view and not be in these positions. It's just, you know what I mean? I just want him to see him on the show. It just makes more sense for him to be on World's End.
Yeah. I think the way they're dragging the Mox and Darby stuff out isn't necessarily working either, which we'll get into more of the Mox stuff later. But yeah, some of the booking with Darby, I'm not the biggest fan of. But again, I feel like he was the MVP of this tournament. He was fantastic throughout. He played his role very well in this match, coming out of it and taking the time limit draw loss here to Ricochet, and then whispering into Commander's ear while he was walking past him to set up the next match with Claudio, because Claudio, of course, used the brass knucks to beat Darby on Saturday, setting it up to have his jacket under the ring with the brass knucks in there. Commander uses them, picks up his first one of the tournament, plays spoiler, and Claudio will not be heading to the semifinals because mathematically he is now out. I thought that was a smart way to get Claudio out. I thought it was a smart way to play into all of the stuff with Darby and the Death Riders coming out after Commander won and beating him down was very funny to me. I don't know why. Every time she does it, it is so funny to me. Marina Shafir every time is the one that kicks everything out. The way she flung him around and threw him on the mat, and then they all started jumping him. I was like, yo, Marina kicks it off every time.
Every time. She's always there. She's like, they're standing around and she's always thinking, why are we just standing here? There's a fool for us to jump right now.
Every time it's the Chris Tucker from Friday. Man, let's jump him.
Yeah, every single time. They're like, let's walk around, let's be menacing. And Marina's like, kick this one in the face. Like, what are y'all waiting on?
What are you talking about? Let's get active, man. Hit this dude, man.
But yeah, great storytelling. Darby talking, giving the secrets to Commander capitalizing. Commander, after winning the Ring of Honor World Television Championship, and what he's gotten out of this tournament, for him to get one win at the end and play spoiler, super smart
and effective win. It was a win that played into one of the biggest storylines in the company right now. And I think even if you're looking at it like Commander didn't pick up any wins, this made him feel important to what's going forward. And of course, he's your current television champion. So this was a good mark to end on for Commander for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really good tournament. Like you said, we got matches tonight to kind of end this off, but I thought the TV matches were so strong this year. The main event of this show, wow. Incredible.
Yeah, Kazuchika Okada versus Shelton Benjamin was a blast. Shelton Benjamin out there suplexing Commander, suplexing Kazuchika Okada around and just acting like this whole time, because Kazuchika Okada, it's the big deal in this match.
Big boy.
And Shelton's kind of looking around like, no, I'm not scared of anybody. I'm about to put this guy through his paces. And he absolutely did. But Okada, as always, turns it on. And he's so sudden when he wants to turn it on and just put you away, which I think is going to play into the stuff to tonight, because I do think that Okada is going to win this tournament. Every time when you put him in a spot like this where it's like, wait, Okada could lose. Nope. He's still Okada. Sorry.
This match was one of the most, like, if you told me about this 5 years ago, I would laugh in your face match. Oh, you're going to have Okada taking on Shelton Benjamin in the Hammerstein Ballroom for AEW. I'd be like, what? What are those words that you're even saying to me? And to see it is so weird still. It's like, damn, Shelton and Okada just having a really fun match on the weekly television show. Like, where are we at with pro wrestling? Yeah, I think that this is the story of Okada in this tournament. Of like, before the tournament, they were saying he might be the greatest tournament wrestler ever, and there's been moments where he hasn't looked like it. But when he does look like it, he's unbeatable. And I think he's going to lock into that tonight of like, oh yeah, you guys forgot I am Okada. I've won some of the most prestigious tournaments in the world. I am exactly who they say I am, and I'm going to win this.
Yes, he's turned it on several points during this year in the Continental Championship matches, the same way that he did here. I mean, in that Fatal 4-Way, and he just proceeded to just beat everybody by himself. Okada is still Okada, but what a great match. Huge for Shelton Benjamin, getting the respect of Okada in this setting. Man, wow. I hate to say it, man, because like I said, I do think this is the next feud, but you got to put some gold around this guy's waist, man.
Yeah.
He's been phenomenal this year, man. He's been one of my favorite signings to AEW in a long time. And just seeing him get his flowers, seeing him get this kind of resurgence where it isn't built around like, oh, let's try and throw this goofy gimmick on him. Let's try and find a way to throw him in a tag team. No, he's just
have him be somebody's coach. No, he can rest right now.
Yeah, he's just on TV doing what he does best, and he's been phenomenal.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, like we're talking about, that it might have to be Danny, but Shelton on TV with the TNT Championship just makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? Oh. Like, Full's challenging him for that championship is money.
Open challenge with him and that belt. Nah, I need it. I'm sorry. I need it.
But Danny, though, I don't know.
Yeah, I hate it had to be Danny, but man, Shelton's been just...
He's on fire.
He's been on fire this year. But like you said, main event, Kyle Fletcher versus Daniel Garcia. This was incredible. Kyle Fletcher has been one of the breakout stars of 2024. Incredible wrestler, man. He's had incredible matches with anybody you put him in there with. Like, his list of opponents this year that he's excelled against is man, it's impressive when you really look at all the names and you break it down. What a year for this guy.
We've been talking a lot about how great of a TV wrestler Darby Allin is. Right there underneath him is fucking Kyle Fletcher. The TV matches that Kyle Fletcher has had this year are some of the best matches of the year. Like the Ospreay match, like a bunch of matches in this tournament, and this final match right here of the TV tournament against Daniel Garcia, where there was moments in this match where I was like, that's dangerous. The brainbuster on the apron, I was like, oh my God, dude, that's someone's neck. And the apron power bomb, there was this moments just like where Kyle Fletcher was like, no, again, you guys thought it was a joke with me being Ospreay. You thought it was over from that. Like, this is my company. This match felt like the future of AEW. Daniel Garcia versus Kyle Fletcher. Like, in 5 years, we're going to be talking about these guys in this company. Like, this is theirs. And so for them to go and have this insane match, Garcia, like you said, hadn't had the best run in this tournament, but this showed why he was in the tournament. Like, just a fight from behind type baby face with the crowd on his side. He's doing the dance again. Like, it's in New York. Like, all the elements are there, but Kyle Fletcher just got into this. No one in the world is going to beat me on my way up to this finals. And so this match was fire.
Yeah. A lot of fourth rope shirts and signs. I noticed that. I mean, of course, New York, the ties to Buffalo, but man, I did not expect to see so many fourth rope signs. Like, that's really cool. And their connection to Danny as well. That was really cool. Man, boy, this match. What I love the most about this match is a lot of spots didn't feel clean. They felt kind of dangerous.
Like a fight.
It felt like a real fight. It felt like there was real desperation here. Like when they were on the top rope and Dan clawed his way around him and tried to get him into the hole to pull him off of the top rope. Like I said, looked very dangerous and scary, but this felt like these two guys fighting to get this moment and fighting for their chance to move forward. Like, this was a great way to end the tournament because, like I said, it felt very desperate from both of these guys.
Yeah, desperation from both. Danny's like, I might not be going to win this, but I'm going to, try to play spoiler to Kyle, trying to get him off of his guard, try to get him not to be in this God mode that he's currently in. And Fletcher just being like, dog, there's nothing you can do in this world. I will murder you with the top rope brainbuster. That looks very dangerous. Yeah. Like, just moments of, I'm going to win this tournament, and you could put anybody in the world in here, and they're not going to stop me. Like, Fletcher came into this being like, I'm going to be the one when this tournament is over.
Yeah, definitely killed Daniel Garcia with this brainbuster. The way that Danny sold it, I was like, oh, wow. Finishing the tournament that way for Fletcher, leading all performers in points after beating Ospreay on pay-per-view. I thought that was a great follow-up to the build that they've done with him and his heel turn he's had. Like I said, what a year for him. What a tournament for him. And then getting elevated at the end to set up the semifinals. Wow. Really, really cool way to end Dynamite and set up this pay-per-view and the last two matches for this tournament. As it stands, the Blue League, Kyle Fletcher leads everybody and again leads all performers with 12 points. Kazuchika Okada's right on his tail. He will be his opponent in the semifinals tonight. Mark Briscoe had 9 points. Garcia had 7. Shelton Benjamin came up with 6. Beast Mortos, unfortunately, had 0.
Goose egg.
In the Gold League, Ricochet came out on top with 10 points total. Will Ospreay is right behind him with 9 points, setting up a rematch in the semifinals tonight. Claudio Castagnoli was right behind Will Ospreay with 9 points. Darby Allin had 7. Brody King came in with 6. Commander brought in 3 points to round out the bunch.
Just insane. I mean, we're getting tonight Okada and Ricochet. That's another like, what match? Like, if you say it out loud, I still can't really figure it out. With the run that Ricochet's been on and what he's been in, it's going to be crazy. But coming, just like we're talking about, Okada's coming to win this tournament, not to not lose. Like, he's coming to show you guys why he's that guy. He's going to be on a different level tonight.
Yeah, very much looking forward to the Continental Classic matches tonight. And we're going to get into the World's End card. And a few, definitely think it'll probably be better than last year's World's End.
I think so. Just off card alone already, yes.
Yeah. But before we get into that, I'm going to hit you guys with a word from our sponsors.
BetOnline.AG is the official betting partner of Fightful. 100% of the time when you get the odds from Fightful, they are coming from BetOnline.AG. And it's not just wrestling, it's not just MMA and boxing. It's football, it's basketball, baseball, hockey. They have the earliest lines. You can bet big with the high limits and rebet functionality. They have the fastest payouts with winnings paid in minutes and the industry's best bonuses on every qualifying deposit. They've been trusted for 25 plus years. It's not some fly-by-night company. BetOnline.AG has been there. They've done that. In addition, they're trusted by millions. They've got VIP rewards programs and a ton of popular games. BetOnline.AG, that's where I go to make my bets. That's where I suggest you go to, my friends. Please just bet what you can and bet responsibly.
As always, please bet what you can and bet responsibly. But for all your sports betting needs, BetOnline.AG is the place to go.
Yes, sir. Get your bets in. Gotta get that Triple H starts off Raw Netflix bet in. I know it's out there.
If it's up there, man, you're talking about odds on favorite. Has to be an odds on
favorite. Shout out to y'all. Y'all are hella funny. Let's get into a few super chats before we get into the World's End card for tonight. Arduit says, happy Grapsor Day. Thanks for another year of great takes and good vibes. Hope New Year's Eve treats y'all well and hope to see y'all at All In Dallas.
Yeah, definitely planning to be in Dallas for All In.
Yes, sir. Me too. We are definitely planning to try to get down and have some good times out there. So we hope to see you too. I do appreciate it. Tenruza says, predictions for 2025 in both wrestling and hip hop.
2025 again. You have to be making a move to make Ospreay champion in 2025. If Ospreay's not champion in 2025, I don't know what we're doing. So that's definitely my prediction, which isn't like a bold prediction, but I feel like you have to be making moves to make this guy champion.
Yeah, there's so many people that are set up in AEW. It's crazy. Like, I feel like Darby needs a run. Like Hangman, every time I see him, I feel like he needs a run. Like, but Ospreay is like, this guy's the best wrestler. Like, if you're like, who's one wrestler in the fucking world who's the best? Like, it's Ospreay, and at this moment, you just need to strike it.
For sure. Hip hop. So it's a little bit harder because this was such a great year for hip hop. I don't know how you could possibly top 2024 in hip hop.
I have no idea. I feel like we got everything this year.
Yeah, because I mean, I wasn't expecting the year we got out of Kendrick. I wasn't expecting a Kendrick album.
No,
that came out of nowhere. But I do. That's one of my predictions. I do think we're going to get another Kendrick album in 2025. I think he's got more music that he wants to drop, and if he doesn't, I definitely think there's more music on the way.
The Super Bowl is going to be very important. I think that's going to be that, and they have the stadium tour with him and SZA. Like, he's definitely going to drop something else. Like, it's going to be a lot going on. As far as the rest of hip hop, I don't know. Everybody dropped this year. I feel like everybody established the year and did their thing. I can't even think of something crazy that's going to happen. You know,
I just saw an Alchemist album that's coming out next year.
Oh,
like,
Alchemist and Yasin Bey are doing an album. They're gonna debut it live somewhere. Yeah, that's. I was
one of
reading
those albums you gotta buy.
Like, they be doing these bits. The last Black Star album they put out, it was like on the website and weird, and you got NFTs and money. I don't know. Can I get the album regularly? Yeah. I don't know. You know how they do those weird bits. So,
I mean, if I have to buy it, I'll buy it. This is Mos Def, man. This is Mos Def and one of the greatest producers of all time. I would definitely buy that album.
I'm ready for that. I'm definitely gonna cop that when it comes out. I don't know, some more big tours, something. I feel like Drake's gonna reestablish himself in 2025. Like it's going on right now, and everybody's upset. But by the end of 2025, everybody's gonna be dancing to this guy's music again.
Drake's definitely gonna drop some music next year. I don't see a way where he does not drop music in some way. It might not be an album, but he's going to drop some music next year.
Yeah. There's no way we'll go a whole year and be like, no Drake. There'll definitely be some Drake.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Tyler had a great end to this year. He dropped the Hey Now freestyle, which was man,
smoked it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think other stuff next year. I guess my prediction for best winner of best rap album is going to be Doechii. I think Doechii's going to win it.
Feels like she's being set up for that. People keep like crowning her the queen and giving her all the awards and accolades. Like she's earning it.
Yes.
I was gonna say maybe new Hove, but I don't know.
I wouldn't be shocked. I honestly do think he's been working on music.
Me too. But I'm like,
for all of the biggest
now?
for all of the biggest artists in this scene to be dropping music this year, I have to assume he was somewhere working on music. He's got some music in the works.
But
I don't know that he drops now. And I did think about that watching Beyonce perform. I was like, we have not heard nothing about Hove throughout this entire thing, which is strange. But I mean, that when the more and more I read about this case, it's looking kind of funny, man. I don't know, bro. I don't know what to make of this. There was a report yesterday, I think, that the judge just approved for her to move forward with the lawsuit. So I don't know where this is going. I definitely think he's going to countersue, though. Just based on some of the stuff that's come out of this, I think he's going to countersue for defamation. And
the judge said they didn't like how aggressive Hove's lawyer was being or something. Like, it's all kind of...
Yeah, that some of the Dame interviews that I watched out of this are kind of nasty, too. I don't like nothing about it. Dame, of course, blaming Jay for a lot of stuff, which I'm just like...
no one's surprised.
You had your hands on a lot of stuff. Like, don't rewrite history. Like, there's a bit of it where he was saying that Hove ruined Beanie Siegel's life. And I said, all right, but I remember this. I was a big Rockefeller guy. Beanie Siegel did not initially leave with Hove. There was a stretch where he tried to stay with you, and he did not have great things to say about working with you afterwards. So, no. Even some of the stuff he was saying about Cam, no, Cam specifically said he had to go and get diplomats deal elsewhere because you was dragging your feet. And then you got mad at him for going and getting them a deal and weaseled your way into it. Nah, dog, you cannot go and make this look like, oh, nobody ever listens to me. I was writing all these things. No, that's not what happened.
They continuously talk about how some of his business dealings were not. He talks about how some of his business dealings weren't the best. I think about the bits of currency too. I'm like, yo, you're talking like crazy.
There's a reason why you're in the position you are now, getting ready to lose your stake in Rockefeller, and the guy that you're acting like is such a terrible businessman is doing just fine.
Yeah. They keep giving them Dame interviews. What do you think about Rockefeller? Like, we know what he thinks about Rockefeller, I think, at this point.
The way we said Cat Williams opened this portal for all the hate to come through, the Dame Dash hate has been coming through for a good decade now. Like, we know how you feel, dog.
I haven't watched one interview in the last 10 years where he's like, everything's great. No, he be getting into it every time.
He was talking kind of crazy about Nori, and I was just like, we don't got to do this, dog.
I saw Nori had to be like, look, stop. This ain't bits. Like, this is real. I'm like, when you got Nori like not doing his character anymore to really talk to you.
Yeah, I don't like none of it, man. And I'm not this big Dame hater, but I just don't think this makes Dame look good.
It doesn't. It's like, we get it, dog. You got screwed out of the deal bad, but like,
yeah, this ain't it, dog.
This ain't it.
This ain't it, dog.
And you like played a role too. It wasn't all just whatever.
Yeah. Remember his whole, I didn't want to work with R. Kelly. That was all Jay. And then they found all those old clips of him.
Can't throw stones in glass houses, man. They'll find them. If there's a clip somewhere of you doing something, they'll find it.
Yes.
Crazy. Tenruz also says, expect surprises tonight or wait till Dynamite.
I do think we're going to get some surprises tonight.
Some good surprises. I mean, everybody, I don't even know if it's a surprise at this point because everybody keeps saying the same thing. But, this person's going to win and then this person's going to confront him. I'm like, do you all know? Like, this sounds crazy. Is that going to happen? Like, did they send the script to y'all? This is crazy.
It feels the most likely.
Right.
So,
Like, if they're not doing it, it'd be very surprising. But that feels like this is Wrestle Kingdom's coming up. Wrestle Dynasty's coming up. This guy's been talking. They did a promo on TV. Like, Kenny.
Yes. You got to end the year with something big for AEW when this guy is going to show up and have his first match somewhere else. You got to set up something for your company coming out of 2024.
Yeah, and it feels like because the show on Monday's on the 1st, you want to have something for 2024. Like, this is the way to cap it off. In the end, Kenny Omega showed up, and then on the 1st, you have him on Dynamite. You start moving forward, telling the story for Wrestle Dynasty like tonight. Yeah. Anybody else besides Kenny?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get into World's End.
Tim Rhodes also says, from World's End to Wrestle Dynasty New Year's Dash. Next couple weeks are going to be so damn fun. K.1, love to you and yours, and happy New Year's.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Tim Rhodes, always supporting. You're the best. Uncle Donk with a very, very, very generous super chat. We really appreciate you for this. Hey, Phil, if it makes you feel any better, the Grizz dropped 155 against my Raptors like an all-star game, then went on a 9-game losing streak. Also, the coach tried to attack the ref. I think he's the one who attacked Jade. Hashtag tank for Cooper.
Yeah. Oof.
155 is crazy. Those are video game numbers.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, I knew Grizzly were going to be better now that Ja's back, but that's insane. Yeah, but shout out to Ja, man. He deserved a good comeback.
Yeah, shout out to Ja. He went through some turmoil. I'm happy he just like get on the court and fucking ball, dog. You know, it's not that hard.
Had a terrible injury last year, so glad he's back and playing basketball again.
Shout out to you though, Uncle Donk. That's really dope. You're really dope.
Yeah, appreciate you. Sorry, Raptors are not a great team, but you know, it's going around. It's a few organizations that can relate. Every time I see something Wizards related, I'm like, damn, Wizards, like, come on.
Listen, if you got a chip in the last like 10 though, I'm not really too upset for you. You know what I mean? Like, if it hasn't been like 20 years, then like you could complain. Like, you could be complaining, Phil. I'm with you.
It's getting far away from the parades and the confetti, dog. We ain't seen that in a minute, dog. It's getting hey, some people forgot what it was like, man.
Like, I feel bad sometimes, like complaining, because I'm like, the parades weren't that long ago, bro. Like, I was at a parade very recently.
Yeah. And your team is still fun to watch, man. You still have Draymond doing in his shenanigans. Christmas game, pulling 2 guys down, and then going, what? Why am I getting called for a foul?
Every time he's questioning, like, why is everybody upset after he just did something heinous, after he just chokeslammed somebody? Like, what? You just chokeslammed somebody, Draymond. I love it.
The funny thing about that play is that he is right. They did interlock their arms so he couldn't get through to get to the rebound. You cannot do that.
That's right.
They should have blown the whistle on that. But his reaction to then lock up both their arms and try and pull them both down to pull attention to it. No, that's a foul. What are you doing? You can't do that.
He's like, look, if we're doing it, then we're doing it. I can't be mad at Draymond. Shout out to Draymond. But yeah, there is that. Like, it's still a fun team to watch, even if, they're not winning every game.
Yeah, Wiggins is looking a lot better than he did last year because he was not good last year. But he has some tragedy in his life going on. So glad he's back and playing up to form. Buddy Hield has worked out very well for you guys. You guys are supposedly in a sweepstakes for some big trades, so that'll be all right.
Listen, it ain't over. It ain't over. I'm still here. Tenriz also says, also 25, hope the year I meet you, buy you guys drinks. Potentially.
Yeah. We'll be out somewhere.
We'll be outside. Those are all of our super chats for now. Y'all are dope. Y'all are amazing. Y'all are cool.
Let's see. I think we have got Humper chat from Smiley BWR. Says, afternoon, boys. Hope y'all doing well. I'm stuck in this house because I'm getting over a nasty cold. This year in wrestling has been insane. So ready for what 2025 has in store. Hi, Reggie. Miss you, friend.
Hello, my friend Tracy. I hope that you had a great holiday. I hope you have a great New Year's. Miss you, love you. There was a lot of sick people this holiday, Phil. Like, I was like, oh, stay over there, dude. Something's going on.
Yeah, get well soon, of course. But yeah, I did see some of that too. I was like, no.
Stay over there.
When
they said something about bird flu and the milk or something, I'm like, all right, let me just drink water. I think
I didn't see any of that.
Raw milk. These people are nasty. People drinking raw milk for some reason.
Oh, it's because your boy, yeah.
Ugh.
Your boy advocating for drinking raw milk, which no.
Why?
No. I'm not drinking no raw milk.
No.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm not a big milk drinker in general, but I'm not.
I'm saying, like, regular milk is already kind of gross, but you're going to add even grosser elements to it. Like, no, just put my milk through the ringer, big dog.
Yeah. We do have a pay-per-view tonight. Reg is going to do a watch-along, correct?
I am. Yes. Tonight. It's exciting.
So, yeah, check that out on Denise's YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
But we got a pretty strong card, as I alluded to. I do think it'll be better than last year's World's End. World's End last year was easily, I thought, AEW's worst pay-per-view of the year.
Big facts.
Probably up there with one of their worst pay-per-views ever, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The main event was easily the worst pay-per-view main event I think they've ever put on. I did not like any of it. I hated what it did for Jay White. So I'm glad that he's back here and better off now, because I was very worried about him coming out of 2023 of what they were going to do to reestablish this guy. And they've done a great job of making him feel important again. He's surprisingly, as a babyface, very popular. So that's good at least.
Yeah, that coming out of last year, I remember just watching and thinking how many horrible things were happening at the same time. And then for that to end like that for Jay White, I was like, oh, it's going to be tough to come back from that. But he definitely came back from that. He's such a strong in-ring character, such a strong character on the mic that you can't hold this guy down. And I'm very happy to see him back in this position. I think that the role he's been playing against Hangman Page of like trying to spoil this little thing, and Hangman's so caught up in being the world champion and getting his hands on Jon Moxley. It's been really fun on that part. I just don't believe that Jay White has a chance in this match. I don't believe that anybody besides Jon Moxley has a chance in this match. I think that's what the reservations are for me in this main event.
Yeah. Am I mixing it up? I believe the Jay White main event was Full Gear last year, right? Yeah, it was Full Gear. Samoa Joe won at World's End.
Right.
Yeah, that Full Gear main event was.
I was there.
Good. It was not good. But yeah, World's End was just not a good pay-per-view in general. That was a lot of coming off some of the Jericho stuff. We had that Miro and Andrade match that was. Yeah, not a great pay-per-view. No. I'm sorry, mixing it up with Full Gear. Full Gear at a show was fine. That main event, I did not like.
I hated that main event. Still hate that main event.
Yeah, did not like that. But got a few pre-show matches announced within the last 48 hours or so.
One of these matches, I was like, "What happened?"
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's on the card apparently. So, yeah. Toni Storm will be taking on Layla Gray.
Awesome.
What a rookie year for Toni Storm. Looking forward to that one.
She just debuted on Ring of Honor for the first time ever, dude. Unbelievable. Great rookie year.
Jeff Jarrett versus QT Marshall. I'm not sure where this came from, but sure. Why not?
Run that back one more time. Who's in this match?
Jeff Jarrett versus QT Marshall. Very random, but all right.
How did we get here, Philip Lindsey? How?
Somehow, some way, we're gonna make it out the hood, I guess. I don't know.
Shout out to QT. He keeps popping up on these cards. He showed up on the ROH show, the ROH taping, and now this. Like, I can't be mad at him at this point.
Remember that report that he was gonna stay in his creative role? He was gonna stay in an office role. We weren't gonna see much of him as a wrestler.
I forgot about that.
We can't keep this guy down.
It's funny that he's finessing people in that, and then he's wrestling Jeff Jarrett, the biggest finesser of all time. Like it's almost perfect.
Yeah. Sure enough, we got an 8-man tag match. The Outrunners will be taking on Top Flight and the team of Leo Rush, Action Andretti against Murder Machine, Lance Archer, and Brian Cage. Very disappointed that we don't have a world tag match on this card, and we're gonna get into that in your review. This was not a great year for tag team wrestling, and I think it sucks that with the win that they had with Private Party. Again, I feel like they could have capitalized better on Private Party coming out of the last pay-per-view, but this is where we're at.
It's very disappointing, man. I think there were so many points of the year in AEW's tag team division where I was like, this is it, I think. The Young Bucks are here. We're going to get back to it. They had some fun moments, but like not how they should. And then they did the thing with Private Party. It's like, oh, Private Party is going to cook, and they just like really haven't been. I'm like, they just don't like tag team wrestling in mainstream wrestling.
This was supposed to be the company for tag team wrestling. You had two of the figureheads of this company are a tag team, and their mission statement was to make tag team wrestling feel like it mattered. And this year, it has been a big, big disappointment from both companies.
And they got the best tag teams in both companies, like some of the greatest tag teams of all times in either company that you could see on a nightly basis. And like there was strong tag team matches throughout the year on television. They rarely got on pay-per-view, but there are so many missed opportunities and moments with it. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, but this should be a fun match. Outrunners, I think, are coming out of this year with a lot of momentum. Very high on what they could do with Top Flight and this team with Leo Rush and Andretti. I think splitting those guys up and doing 2 tag teams was the way to go. Hopefully they do something with that rivalry this next year. But yeah, just unfortunate that there isn't a tag title match on this card. I mean, I don't even like coming out of this. I want to say the Outrunners are going to win this match, but it kind of feels absurd with the level of talent here because I don't think they're going to be done with Top Flight and Leo Andretti coming out of this match. So there's got to be something coming out of this like a rubber match or something for them moving forward. I think who would benefit the most after the year they've had is probably Outrunners.
That's what I was thinking. Like I started thinking about Private Party's run, and there was a moment where I kind of felt like Outrunners were in position to win those tag team championships. And I was like, would they have been better having Outrunners win these championships? But they haven't really been put into too many major positions either as a tag team. Like their Outrunners are featured on almost every AEW show. Like there was a promo for them on Ring of Honor, but I don't know if having the tag team championships would enhance that, or I just think tag team wrestling, they just don't care about it.
I still think it was the right decision to put the belts on Private Party. Outrunners need the belts. They don't really need the belts right now. I think they're doing well enough without them. But I think you can eventually put them in a title feud next year. It kind of feels like you need to do a big rivalry with the Outrunners and another team in the meantime, though.
What is FTR? What are they doing?
Because
I just feel like they're still like the fucking glue to hold this shit together, and they haven't been the glue to hold this together.
Listen, I got kind of yelled at last year when I said FTR turned into the best tag team in the division, and they've been having the better matches. They were a focal point for that tag division last year, and when they weren't on top and they weren't having the big matches this year, you can see it. You can see there's a big difference. I mean, the Young Bucks got better in terms of the matches by the end of the year, but they still didn't feel like the leaders of the division that they should have been.
Right. I'm thinking of that match that FTR had with House of Black, that main event of Dynamite a couple months ago where they tore it down, and I was like, oh yeah, this is what the tag team division should be. This is kind of why FTR should be tag team champions, but people don't want to hear me when I say it. They're like, again, I'm like, yeah, but it's for a reason. Like when they're the champions, the division feels like something.
Yeah. When I said this, I was told, no, you're wrong. And I said, all right. But FDR, as champions, they were getting to it. That's how we got the Jay White Juice match last year, which was one of the best tag matches of 2020 3.
Yep.
Wait, was that this year or was that 2023?
I think it was 2023.
2023. But yeah, FDR, I feel like they should have a big resurgence next year. Even if they're not champions, something. They got to get them in a big rivalry with somebody.
The division needs to be running around them. Like you said, even if they're not champions, they need to be in contention. They need to be they need to be like fighting against the champ. They need to be in there establishing these tag teams. They just played the background for too often. And it's like the FTR is FTR and they could be used to elevate this division and tag teams. And I don't know why they aren't.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Yeah. I mean, they had some stuff coming into this year.
I mean, it wasn't the best
injury and stuff, but hopefully they're more focal point in the division next year.
I'm just like the last couple of times we've seen them on TV, they're just doing a promo about what they're going to do in next month. I'm like, just put them on a fucking match then. What's going on here?
Yes. But got the 2 Continental Classic semifinals. Those should be a big part of the pay-per-view tonight. Very much looking forward to both of those matchups. Will Ospreay will be taking on Kyle Fletcher in their 3rd match this year. I'm sure that will not disappoint. When you just think about how good their television match was and the pay-per-view match, this match is definitely going to deliver. I expect Will Ospreay to pick up the win here.
Yep.
But, man, again, what a year for Kyle Fletcher. Just everything he's gotten out of this year. The television title run he had at one point, I don't think he got enough credit for how good he was on Ring of Honor. And then coming to AEW proper and having a heel turn and great matches with everybody they put him in there with. I'm not one of those people, because I've seen this quite a bit online, this saying, oh, if Fletcher doesn't win this tournament, this was a failure. I don't think so at all.
I don't believe that at all.
I think that this made him look like a big deal. This set him up for the big rematch with Ospreay and set him up for Ospreay to get past him to get into the finals.
Yeah, I think this was to establish who he was as a heel and as a character, get him in there with some big names, have him get some big wins and establish him. But winning the tournament, I never thought for a moment he was going to win this tournament. I thought he was going to come in. There was a couple people that were going to be put into positions to excel after this. I feel like Kyle, Brody, Claudio, Commander were just going to be in here having these great matches, not going to win this, but like playing their part, playing their role and getting elevated to a next level. Kyle Fletcher might have got it elevated more than anybody else, like coming off of beating Will Ospreay, establishing what he should be in this tournament and having a bunch of amazing matches, getting to the semifinals, back to Will Ospreay, kind of a full circle moment. It's been a great year for Kyle.
Yeah, I do think Kyle is going to lose.
Yes,
I do believe Will Ospreay will be going to the finals. Likely will be facing a guy that he's faced in quite a few tournaments in Kazuchika Okada. The Ricochet match is going to be a lot of fun. I'm curious to see how Ricochet plays off of Okada in this match, but come on, it's Okada. It's a tournament. Okada is winning this match. The finals are going to be Ospreay Okada, which is a big G1 matchup we've seen multiple times. Getting to see that matchup on an AEW pay-per-view, super excited for that. And I do believe, again, that Okada is going to pick up the win. He is going to remain Continental Champion at the end of the night.
There's so many things in what you just said that blow my mind. Like if it was this show just had Okada and Ricochet, I'd be like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like that match, again, tell me this 5 years ago, I'm like, that's crazy. No, it's not. And it's going to happen. It's going to be a great match. But then like, oh, then the winner, who's likely to be Okada, is going to take on Will Ospreay in the finals in an AEW ring on an AEW pay-per-view, not in New Japan with the history they have in New Japan. I'd be like, this is crazy. Imagining the year that Ospreay's had, and this is gonna be his last match of the year against Okada in this prestigious tournament. I'm like, this sounds crazy, and I know these guys are gonna hit it all the way out of the park. Like wrestling is crazy. We're the best wrestler. This is what they're talking about.
Yes, I do think that in some ways they've dropped the ball where they were earlier in the year and bringing in all of these guys and starting the dynasty era. And Ospreay was a big part of that. I think, like you said, some of the losses he took this year probably shouldn't have taken. But, him and Okada were a big part of that, signing these guys as a part of the Dynasty era and ending this year with those guys having a one-on-one match. It feels right. So in that way, it does feel like it kind of worked out in the end. But then when you look at like, all right, why isn't Swerve on this card, for example, and like the year that Swerve had, and it's some decisions booking wise that I kind of don't understand, but it is what it is.
It's the kind of, I feel the same way about Swerve as I feel about Darby. It's like, I feel like these guys should be on this card representing what it is.
Yeah.
And then like, we're going to get to a match on this show that I'm like, the story on this has been not that great. And we're not even super excited about this end result, and other things could have happened. But yeah, I mean, it was mostly about establishing the Continental Classic, I think, coming into this, but there's a couple of other moves I might have shifted around, you know?
Yeah, with the reactions that Swerve is getting every week, he should be on this card, man.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he's not on this card.
Yeah. It's confusing.
Man. But we got a surprise for me and Konosuke Takeshita taking on Powerhouse Hobbs for the AEW International Championship. I was surprised that this made the pay-per-view. I knew what they were setting up. This match would probably happen soon, but very surprised that this is going to be Takeshita's final match of 2024 for AEW. What an opponent for him, and just like the tie-in to the Don Callis family. Having Powerhouse Hobbs come back this year as a very hot babyface at one point, very popular, getting great reactions. I think this makes a lot of sense. The only thing I don't like about it is you already have the Wrestle Kingdom match set up, so you already know that Takeshita's not going to lose this match. I know that they want to say, well, if he does, I just don't see a world where he loses this match before the Big Shingo match.
Yeah, that wouldn't make a lot of sense for what the story that they're telling. But yeah, this one felt like a cherry on top for me. I was like, oh damn, the big homie gets to have a great match with Takeshita for his championship on the last pay-per-view of the year. Those are all great things for me. Like when they announced the graphic for this, I was hyped because Takeshita's been having a great year. He could end it out with the big homie. They could really do it. I feel like there may be like what we were talking about, like Swerve and Darby could have maybe made it on the card in place of this match. I know this match is going to be on fire, and I'm super happy to see my friend in there getting a big match, but like it kind of came out of nowhere. Like they keep doing this with Takeshita matches, right?
Because they know he's going to deliver. Let's just throw a Takeshita match on this card. He's going to deliver. That's going to give this match, he's this incredible card, the big banger match. And I have no doubt this is going to be a very strong match. But very happy for Powerhouse Hobbs to get into the position. Happy. Hopefully they have more plans for him moving forward. I know at one point.
And what he might win. I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening. But I know at one point he was getting thrown around as one of those options to put in Hurt Syndicate, sorry. And I'm glad that they didn't make him a heel when he came back. I'm glad that they didn't just throw him in another stable, because he's been in so many stables. I think the move going into 2025 should be to book him as a babyface singles wrestler, do something else interesting with him, maybe put him back in the TNT title picture, do something other than what we've already seen.
This is a strong way for him to end the year, though. If like the last little mark on 2024 is a great match with Takeshita, that's a good sign for him moving forward next year.
Yeah. Mariah May will be defending her AEW Women's World Championship against Thunder Rosa in a Tijuana street fight. Very excited to see Thunder Rosa back on the pay-per-view card. I think this is overdue. I think it's overdue putting her back in the world title picture as well. I'm glad that they're finally paying off that stuff from Collision. And I think this match is going to be good. I think when they give Mariah May these kind of matches on these kind of stages, she usually delivers. And Thunder Rosa is so good in these kind of matches, I expect nothing less here.
Yeah, they when I was talking about the stream we did yesterday, the Denise stream, a lot of people were talking about being excited for Ospreay, but surprisingly, a number of people were like, my most anticipated match is Mariah May and Thunder Rosa, just because that's how strong of a bond Thunder Rosa has. Everybody was like, we're so excited to see Thunder on the card. We're so excited to see her back. Like, she has this connection with fans that you can't even put into words, like the connection that she has. I'm super excited to see her in position, like you said. in a street fight kind of setting with some plunder, there's not a lot of wrestlers better than Thunder just because of the heart and how she brings, and she'll go all out there. Like you said, Mariah May, she has been, when it's a big match, the lights are on her. When the bell rings, she defends that championship like nothing else. Like, she's told one of the best stories of the year with Toni Storm and done a lot of amazing things. But we forget, like, when the bell rings, she's gritty, dude. She fights in the ring. She strikes. She's fighting like this is stardom. Like, she don't play when the bell rings. So I'm super excited to see her in there with Thunder tonight.
Yeah, she had a really good kind of plunder match with Anna Jay this year as well. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be a strong match.
It's going to be good.
Not sure what to think going into MJF versus Adam Cole for the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring. This is, of course, coming out of World's End last year. That was when we got the reveal that Adam Cole was indeed the devil all along. How long ago that feels, and the devil
feels like 5 years ago.
Yeah, the devil storyline just completely fizzled out. MJF has been very hit or miss in the last year. He's been basically a part-time wrestler. I think the matches themselves when he shows up are good, but the stuff in between with those film vignettes he's doing, not really for me. When he cuts the promos and he's there, it feels like, okay, I'm here for this. Like, the most interested I've been so far in this feud was the collision back and forth that they had. Because it's like, yeah, this is where Max shines. In the ring where the crowd can react to him. He's got a live mic. This is what you want to see Max doing. I get wanting to keep him present by doing those taped vignettes or the taped promos, but they didn't really hit for me.
Like, you want to keep this guy present as MJF. He's one of the biggest stars on your thing, but this wasn't the way to do it. Like, I would rather have missed him and not seen him on TV than what they tried to give us, and having him trying to tie storylines together with these pre-taped vignettes. Like, and then I think like you said, it's so long ago since we've seen that devil reveal, and it's been the Joker reveal. It's been so long since that angle has been meaningful, and I feel like a lot of people we're just like at a point of like, damn, they're still doing this. Like, do the match, get it over with. Adam Cole, it feels like, has been so attached to MJF for so much of his AEW career that I'm like, let's move my friend on at this point. MJF is more interesting when he's in a different, it just like feels like we need to wrap this up and get it done. And like, they went the long way to get to this World Ends match, so it feels like forever, and I'm just happy that it's happening so it can be over.
Yeah, it felt like they wanted to wrap up the storyline with Adam Cole once they brought him back, but
yeah,
I get the reason.
Do we need to?
But it had gone on so long, and the devil storyline just completely flopped, and so nobody, I won't say nobody cares. Most of the fan base does not care, and then you add the Dynamite Diamond Ring, which has been basically just the Max showcase match every year of him winning this thing for 5 years in a row. And so a lot of people just don't care about this Diamond Ring. They don't care about the storyline. They don't care about the outcome. I just think everybody, well, again, I can't say everybody. I can't speak for everybody, but it just seems like most people are just ready to move on. And I'm very much in that camp of I'm ready for both of these guys to do something else. I think Adam Cole, of course, would benefit the most of winning the Diamond Ring. Having Adam Cole out of all of this be the first guy to actually beat him for that ring would give him a nice little notch moving forward. But other than that, I could not care less.
That's how MJF helps in this story. Like, that's how you help Adam Cole being trapped in this for so long, is you have him be the guy to beat you for this ring. You put him over in that way. The ring doesn't matter fucking 90% of the time anyways. This is a good thing. Bring Adam Cole back, and then you guys could just be done with this. But if he's going to win it and you're going to try to win it back, I'm not into it. I want you to just keep it, because we got to be finished, Phil.
Yeah, I think this should be it for now. Like, I don't want to, I do not want to go back to any of this brochacho stuff.
No.
I'm good. Just move forward. Give Adam Cole a win here and just move forward.
We're done. MJF's going to be fine with the loss. Everything's going to work out. Like, you've been telling the story with Adam Cole. It's not just some regular fool beating you. Makes sense for Adam Cole to beat you after all that shit.
Yes.
But I really just see MJF at the end of the night having that ring still.
I hope not. Why would not? 6 years in a row is crazy.
It's insane.
But yeah, looking forward to seeing what both of these guys do moving into 2025. Hopefully they are not linked.
Please.
Mercedes Moné versus Chris Statlander is going to be a lot of fun. Just given how good their first match was at the last pay-per-view, very much looking forward to the rematch. Mercedes has been on fire since All Out. She's been having great match after great match, and I think this is going to be just as good. It's going to be a nice little way to whet people's appetite for the big match coming into Tokyo Dome and 2025 for Mercedes Moné. I think she's got a lot of options because I do think she's going to retain here. I don't think Statlander will win. But she's got a lot of options for big opponents coming next year. There's some opponents that she has not faced yet. There's some opponents that I would like to see her face again. So looking forward to that.
I'm going to go out on a ledge here. I think this match is going to be better than their first match. I feel like both of these women are not rematch wrestlers, as in that was the first time they ever had a match last time, but now they know how each other works. They know what positions to be into. They know what's going to further along this match. So I feel like the rematch is going to be so much better. This one has me really excited just because of the year that Mercedes had. She's had some of the best matches of the year, some of the best matches of her career this year. One of those matches specifically against this woman, Chris Statlander. I'm just super excited about what they could do in the rematch and how they're going to put it together. This is might be the match of the night potentially with everything that's on this.
Yeah, I do think this is going to be better than their first match, but the way that she survived Statlander in that match and then she acted like, nah, I'm the greatest TBS champion in the world. Nobody can beat me. I do think she's going to cheat to win this match. I do think the Renegade Twins are going to debut as her heaters in this match. I think that's probably the reason why this is the big pay-per-view match, because this is going to be the thing to set her up with new heaters moving forward.
Looking forward to it.
New lackeys, lackeys, minions, whatever you want to call them. Well, can't call them minions because somebody else
call them minions. Yep. Banger.
Yeah, but yeah, excited for this. That pretty sure this could end up being match of the night.
Yeah, they're gonna go for it.
Yeah, I think we're both pretty much in agreement. The Continental Classic Finals is gonna be Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada.
Yep,
that's gonna be a banger as well. I do think that Okada's going to win, and I would not be surprised if afterwards we do hear Kenny Omega's music. Kenny Omega makes his big return tonight to stare down Kazuchika Okada to set up their big match sometime in 2025.
Again, sometimes Phil says words and puts things together. I'm like, that's not real. Like Okada and Kenny Omega, Okada and Ospreay in the finals of this amazing Continental Classic. And then Okada wins, and then Kenny Omega confronts him in an AEW ring to potentially set up this match that we've been wanting for a long time in this company. Sounds like a dream. It sounds like a fake thing, and like that has the potential to happen. Very excited to see what Okada does in this main event with his back against the wall, supposed to be the best tournament wrestler of all time. The year that Ospreay has, he can't have a bad match to fucking save his life. A bad one. This is all the elements to be great, and then Kenny might come out at the end. I'm all over it, all for it.
Yeah, the way that we've gushed over how great he's been on pay-per-views this year, and potentially getting 2 pay-per-view matches for him tonight.
What?
And one of them with Okada. That's
2 rivals too. It's not just 2 regular matches.
Yeah, 2 big matches for him potentially tonight. Very much looking forward to that. The main event will be Jon Moxley defending the AEW World Championship against Orange Cassidy, Hangman Adam Page, and Jay White. The Mox heel turn, I was on board initially. Going into the match, with Brian, I thought that it was intriguing. And I think a lot of the stuff that he did with Brian's send-off and everything, I enjoyed it. The last few weeks of this have not been great. It's been a real mixed bag. Some of it just feels very cartoonish. They come out and do the same thing where they beat down somebody or he takes everybody's finishers and rolls out of the ring and does that. I'll get you guys next time. Fists waving
and
his fist in the air.
three of them stare each other down in the middle of the ring. Will they be able to get it together to beat Mox? It just feels like a repeated thing every end of show.
Yeah, I did not like that tag match at all the other night where the baby faces couldn't get it together to beat them, and it just didn't make sense at all. Like having them argue that way, having Hangman, who I think has been the best character in the company, just being angry for no reason, like him not.
It makes him look dumb. Like he can't put it together, and he hasn't looked like a dumb wrestler this whole year, you know.
Right, and to just have him angry with everybody else because he's been the big angry guy this entire time, it just doesn't really fit with what you've been doing with him this entire year. And Orange Cassidy coming out of the pay-per-view, I thought, looking like a competent challenger, looking like a baby face that we can get behind, and now he keeps coming out and they keep trying to pour liquids down his throat and all this other stuff. It's too much, man. I think that they've got to simplify this because what made it work before is that, yeah, he was coming out and doing the cryptic promos, but it was fairly straightforward. Now you've got all of these things weaving in and out, and it's just, it's not good, man.
They're trying to too much. They're trying to tell 20 stories entwined, but it's like, it really should just be about one of these guys beating Moxley, but then you keep trying to do these NWO style beatdowns. Then you got Darby involved. There's so much plunder. People don't believe that any of these guys are going to beat Moxley. And then you keep rehashing the same thing every week. I'm like, okay, what is this? What are we trying to establish here?
Yeah, you've made this weird choice to not have your world title on TV. He's carrying it around in a briefcase. We haven't seen the world title since the last pay-per-view. It's and don't get me wrong, there are still bits of this character that I enjoy. I enjoy the Death Riders on a whole as a group, but it's just been too repetitive. It's been too kind of clunky lately. I don't know, man. And I'm worried now, based on the way this is booked, that Mox is not losing that belt anytime soon. Because I had assumed maybe going into next year, you're gonna wrap up this Christian thing, which you still have going for some reason. I don't know how do you get yourself out of that corner, because it feels like now they've booked themselves in a corner with him as champion and this Christian contract thing, and I don't know how you're going to get out of that. And it should be fairly simple coming out of this year with the guys that you set up to feel like a big deal. And it isn't. I don't understand now. You're now wrapped into these two things. And like I said, the easiest decision coming into 2025 should be Ospreay, world title picture. I don't think we're close to that.
At all. We're not even in the ballpark of establishing that. Like, yeah, there's still this looming Darby thing, but the worst is this fucking looming Christian thing. Because, like, as soon as Darby wins, and here comes Christian, and Christian's gonna try to play a role tonight. And it's like that keep being this dark cloud over every world championship match is not helping. In the world championship match where we haven't seen the world title in a month, it's in a briefcase, somebody else is carrying it. It's just like there's too much, dude. Just like I want to see the best wrestlers wrestle for the world championship. And like I keep thinking of, like, if Ospreay had the championship in any of the great matches he had this year, imagine how even greater they would have been. If, like, you know what I mean? Like, every time I see Hangman come down and the reaction he gets and how he's moving, I'm like, he's being a better heel than Jon Moxley is, though. Why wouldn't, like, if you want to have the baddest heel here, he's in this match, but it ain't that's the leader of the Death Rider. So there's all these things that I'm just confused about.
Yeah, Hangman still feels like the main character in the company. I mean,
yeah,
to the point when they put that Yule log thing up on Christmas Eve, and he was like on all of these people's TV based on one of the hottest go home shows they did this year. And like I said, where Swerve is after his title run, it just feels like, no, with all of the stuff you built up from April on, well, not even April, March on with this Dynasty era, it doesn't feel like you've done what you should have done by the end of this year to set up those guys as the main fixtures in your world title picture moving forward. And I think that that's a mistake.
Yep. I mean, there's ways you can come out of this. Like, You can't have Moxley not be the champion for fucking half a year. You can't have him not rehash these angles every single week. You can have Christian fucking come out and beat him tonight and that transition to something else. But I just don't feel like they are. I feel like they're going to continue to establish Moxley as the leader of this Death Riders thing, have him be the champion, defend a bunch of times coming into like Texas probably. And then maybe that'll be Darby's time. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fatal 4-way match. So it's no disqualification. There is going to be plunder. There's going to be cheating. I don't know. With what we got out of Swerve's time as champion and the way he represented the company, it just kind of feels like, hey, man, maybe we could have just gone back to something like that. Or we could have just done something else other than this that is very convoluted.
I mean, even this show itself in a vacuum, like just watching World Ends, what we're going to get with the Continental Classic stuff, with Mercedes, with all these amazing matches leading up to the main event. The main event's going to be like a predictable match with a bunch of fucking plunder again. It's like, I don't, what AEW is, it doesn't feel like that's what AEW is.
Yeah, it's not a good sign that the world title stuff I'm the least interested in coming out of this, next to the Adam Cole and MJF stuff. Like, I'm not interested in, like I said, where the world title picture was earlier this year when you added Swerve in it. It was fresh. The matches were big. Like, just think of where we were at one point. Brian versus Swerve was a big match. Brian versus Ospreay, big matches. And like, we're back to doing this kind of stuff with the world title. It'd be different if you were doing kind of like those kind of caliber of matches with Mox and he felt like this big heel to overcome, but he doesn't feel that way.
He's like the running away, shitty, eat and grin world champion. Yeah, when we were leading out with main events, if you recount some of the main events of the shows this year and what the champions felt like, I think about that the Brian and Swerve match where Brian tried to hit the Busaiku knee on Swerve and he just dusted him off. Like, those moments, you don't get the main event doesn't feel like that anymore. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I know what this is about to be. Mox is going to do his thing. Death Rider's going to be involved, be a bunch of plunder. Yuda's going to come in and sneak in with the hood and do a fucking thing. Like, it's like, I don't want to be able to predict what this is going to be.
Yeah. I think we're both predicting that Mox is going to retain, though.
Yes.
I don't see a world where Mox does not retain.
That'll be the biggest shocker of the night if he did, but I don't believe it at all.
I don't see Mox not retaining here, which I don't think that this puts any of those three guys in a better position afterwards. Jay White, of course, has come up after last year, and he looks better and better as a babyface. He's wrestled some great matches, but like where I think Hangman should be right now, I don't think this is a great spot to be losing. I don't think Orange Cassidy out of this, I don't know, at where he was after the last pay-per-view, I don't think that this is a step up.
Like, how much hotter would this match be if it was Hangman as the world champion against Jay White 1-on-1? Like, we'd be way more excited about this
totally
match.
Different. Even if this was just Hangman versus Mox 1-on-1.
Even just Hangman. Match. Yeah, exactly. Like, you see the reception of, like, it happened in Hammerstein. Mox is standing in the ring. Hangman comes down and we're just like, yes, this feels like what we want. But it doesn't feel like Hangman's mission is to win this championship. But like, they keep telling the story of he's going to get screwed at the end or he's going to be distracted, and we know he's not going to win.
Yeah, guys, I've said this before on this podcast. Hangman is AEW Roman right now. Yeah. Not in terms of like box office, but in terms of the main character of this show, the guy that the women love, the guy that most of your fan base is connected to. It's Hangman. Hangman moving forward should be champion.
It feels like that's what Mox wants to be, though. Mox is like, no, I want that to be me. And it's like, it's not, though, dude. No. I'm sorry.
Hangman is one of the most beloved characters in this company. You've got to take cues from what you're seeing your audience tell you. Just look at Blue Sky, for example. And listen, I know I don't want to make it that the internet fan base is a bar meter. Bro, he said that whole leaves his plant thing on his Blue Sky, and that turned into people doing leaves his plant stuff in your crowd with signs. Dude, this guy is beloved by your core audience, man. Yeah. You've got to you've got to pivot, man. Like I don't know who makes these decisions, but you've got to pivot, I think.
I feel like even if we left the internet out of it and you just pull up all of Hangman's reactions this year and you see it.
Bro,
like the crowd reacts to him different. Like he's on a different level.
One of the best endings to pay-per-view this year and All Out was him is closing on him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I think it should be him. If it's me booking this thing, All in Texas, the match is Will Ospreay versus Hangman Adam Page for the world title. By August, that's what you should be ready to do. Hangman, like I said, should be the main character, and as main character, he should be champion.
Yeah. Yeah. With the belt out of a fucking briefcase, defending it on top, being this badass heel. Like, it just makes so much sense. Your crowd and your fan base are telling you this is what they want.
Yeah. But
yeah, Mox is winning this match tonight.
Mox is winning this match tonight. I just have no doubt about it that Mox is winning this match. If Hangman won this match tonight, that would be one of the biggest surprises to end 2024. And I think it would be the right move.
Definitely.
Honestly.
1000%.
Even if you had this lead to Christian coming to cash in on him, I still think you would get more out of this by having Hangman win than anything.
Especially with the story they tried to tell at the last show with Christian and him helping Christian. Like, again, we are talking about Hangman, not Mox. We want Hangman to be the guy. It just,
yeah, I feel like a lot of your audience is telling you that.
Mm-hmm. Now, the way that they've been reacting to him on the internet, though, and like him burning down Swerve is like the hottest thing of the year. People still reference that. They're making blankets and shit out of it. That Yuletide fire, like all of this is like,
bro,
Hangman.
Yeah. But that's our card for AEW Worlds End. I am excited for this show overall, even though I'm not as excited about the main event stuff. I do think this is going to be a good pay-per-view. AEW, I think, does pay-per-views better than everybody else. I just think they deliver in terms of like the spectacle that comes with their pay-per-views. WWE, I still think they've got to figure it out with this 5-6 match card. They've had strong pay-per-views this year, but I think
it's not enough.
This is where it's not enough. But in terms of like what they do with their pay-per-views, I think this is what they're consistently good at. Their pay-per-views are better than their TV product at the moment.
Yeah, and they have like the strong matches on this are going to deliver, and like the extracurriculars aren't going to matter. Like the middle part of this pay-per-view is going to be so strong that we're not even going to care about the time it gets to the Moxley shit. But it shouldn't be like that. The world title should be the most important thing on the show, but it's not right now.
I mean, if it's me, I would end this card with Kazuchika Okada versus Will Ospreay. I think that should be the main event, and I think Kenny coming out should end the night.
The stare down with Okada and Kenny is how we cut to credits.
Yeah, I think that should be the main event, but we don't have an announcement yet of what that will be. I am assuming that the world title match is going to be the main event.
I would think so. They're usually, one thing AEW is good about is putting their world title in the main event, even if it shouldn't be.
Yeah, but this time I think it should be Okada versus Ospreay at the main event.
Agreed. Because how do you not end the show with Kenny Omega?
Yeah, if Kenny's not showing up after that match and he's just going to show up in the middle of the card, maybe, but I don't know. Do you think we see Adam Copeland tonight? He's got to be ready to come back, right?
That's what I'm nervous of with this Moxley shit.
Why?
I'm like, because if Christian tries to do the cash-in thing and then Adam Copeland comes to help and now it's Adam Copeland and Moxley, I think that sounds god awful.
I didn't even think about that.
Because where else is he going to come back to, you know? Like, I'm like, there's only one place he could be in, trying to help AEW against Moxley, and I have no interest in that at all.
I did not think about that, but that does make sense of Christian coming out to try to cash in, and that's when we hear on this day. Which I don't know, man. Again, when you set up your world title picture in the middle of this year where you have all this excitement around Swerve, Ospreay potentially being in there, Darby potentially, and Okada, of course, at some point. And now your world title finishing this year could be Mox, Christian, Copeland. Oh no, that does not sound good.
Oh man,
and I like Copeland's run so far.
I like
AEW.
all these guys, but I don't know if I want them to be the world title picture.
In the world title picture, when you've got like 5 or 6 other guys that make so much more sense, no.
You got put many people call the best wrestler in the whole fucking world, and you're like, nah, let's do Christian, Edge, and Moxley. What?
Oh, I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong on that one. Oh,
because I'm like, where else could he fit in? They're not gonna send him back to the TNT Championship thing. He already did that. Like that. AEW needs help. Who's gonna help him on this day? Oh, it sucks so bad. You just broke it down. Christian comes out and Edge saves him. I hate it.
Because I would think, to me, the move going into 2025 with Christian should be getting towards the tag team run with him and Copeland. And that's going to be the way to revitalize your tag division, by using them as a tag team next year. I don't think you should be putting them in a world title picture. I think that's a mistake.
And they should be building towards them versus FTR, them versus the fucking Bucks.
Yes. And if you're picking the ex-WWE guy that you brought in that's hot right now, it's not them. It's Lashley. It's not those two.
Yeah, that's a fact. And people have been talking about want to see Death Riders versus Hurt Syndicate already. That makes way more sense.
Oh, I hope you're wrong. Oh. I don't.
On this day,
I do not want that.
Because, like, who wants to see Edge as AEW World Champion? Like, I don't at all. I fucks with the homie, but it's not his place.
I've been having this debate with Emilio for weeks of I have no interest in Christian as champion either.
0%, -% Phil.
So, oh boy. And
I fucks with him. I think like a lot of his stick is good, but like you should not be world champion when Will Ospreay sitting back there. What's that face?
You think a lot of his what is good? What?
I wanted to take it back immediately after I said it. I know. Oh my god. Yeah, but I just can't justify it when, like, if Christian walked by with the AEW World Champion past Will Ospreay, I just can't. That doesn't make sense to me. You know?
Nah. Yeah. But yeah, you're good.
We could be shocked tonight. It's gonna be a great show tonight.
I hope so. I don't think that 4-way is going to be bad, but just the implications coming out of this, I'm not the biggest fan of.
We could be wrong. Let's just say that. I hope we're wrong.
We have any more super chats or humper chats?
We got a couple more super chats. Our friend Shanika, hey, Shanika says, happy Saturday. Just wanted to drop some end of year love. Thanks for the fantastic year and for everything you do. Here's a great 2025 and to the entire Grapsody fam. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
You're amazing, Shanika. Appreciate you always supporting us for so long. And then Joel Alcoin says, bonjour from Canada. Shout out to all the Canadian homies. Love y'all. Y'all are great.
Hey.
Drake didn't taint the whole bad name of Canada. He's fine. Yeah, that's everything.
No. Let's see. We got 2 humper chats, and then we're going to get into some year review talk and get up out of here. From Orion Ben 666, he says, wish for a happy new year and better 2025 for the Grapsody extended fam. Thanks to all the talent who stopped by this barbershop in 2024. Here's to hoping for better wrestling, better plots, better atmosphere in wrestling in 2025. Thanks, Media Man and Paywall Phil. Appreciate you. Yeah, also, I didn't say that earlier, but appreciate everybody that was a guest this year. One from J Dub, he says, love you guys and agree. Not super excited for the main event tonight, but Mox is my guy, so can't let him be dogged too much. Love Mox, Death Riders, and Grapsody. No, I love Mox, but this currently where this storyline is going is not great.
That's what's driving me crazy about it. I love Mox. I love the positions that he's in. That's why I'm angry about it, you know?
Yes. Yeah, that's all of our Humper chats. You want to send us a Humper chat and let us know what were your favorite matches and favorite moments this year as we run down this year in review. Get those in because we're about to wrap this thing up.
Yes. Look at that. But yeah, of course, appreciate all the guests. Appreciate everybody submitting. Appreciate anybody that supported, bought a hat, hoodie, or any of our merch from grapsody.bigcartel.com. Y'all are the fucking best.
Yes. Year in review. We did this last year. Fun way to end the year last year. So figured we would bring it back. Last year I said I have to get what is your favorite album of the year because we talked so much music on here, so it only made sense. Last year was much easier to answer this question. This year I feel like there was so much music that I was into. There's so many great moments in hip hop. It was a lot harder for me to pick my favorite album of the year.
Almost impossible.
I like even looking at like my notes. I've got like 5 albums here.
I think that the route that I took with my favorite album of the year was, we talked multiple times on the show about how great hip hop was this year. 2024, one of the greatest years of hip hop in a long time. Everybody who put out a great album, I expected it. Like the Hami album, one of my favorite albums of the year. Amazing. Yes. Lupe, amazing. One of the best albums of the year. Like I expected it. Tyler, Schoolboy Q, Ab-Soul, all the hip hop albums. Boldy put out like 5 insane projects. All of them like hit as hard as I expected. And so there wasn't anything that was surprising or different or that changed the game for them. So I picked an album that we've talked about on here very often. I think the most surprising album of the year and the one that I've listened to the most often. And the reason that I'm going to say it's my favorite album of the year is the Linkin Park album, because of what it represents, the time their backs were against the fucking wall, Phil. Like this is a worldwide known band that has history. They're a huge part of their existence is gone. Rest in peace to Chester. Like there was all the reasons for this not to work. And so when I listened to this album from zero and it's giving you all the nostalgic vibes, giving you everything that Linkin Park represents and more, I was like, dude, this album's great. I've listened to it at least once or twice a week since it came out. Like it just hit that point that I needed to be hit, especially in a year like this with like crazy times and things, like being able to be taken back to fucking 2004 and feel like those vibes. I can't put anything over it for that reason.
Yeah. I did end up listening to Linkin Park album a lot to end this year. Yeah, it's probably in one of my favorite albums this year. Not much of a surprise for me. It's the Lupe album. I listened to that album the most out of all the albums that dropped this year.
No one here is surprised.
It's the Lupe album for me. I agree. A-Shock Overflow is a great album off the Linkin Park album. Like that was one of the songs I liked the most off of there. Like I was surprised how much I liked it. But yeah, it's the Lupe album. It's my favorite album just based off of, out of every album I could write down, I was like, okay, I listened to that the most. Like number one, Headband, I've definitely listened to that probably more than anything else. The Kendrick album I played a lot over the last few weeks, and I feel like I am either singing TV off or Not Like Us all the time. So it was either GNX or Lupe for me, but I'm gonna go with Lupe.
GNX is definitely up there. That's the one like I hear the most often out since it came out. Like when I go to karaoke, everybody's fucking playing it. All the cars are playing it out. Like that one feels the most. Like if I didn't pick this Linkin Park album, I probably would have just picked that one just because of what it represents. It's a cultural moment. People are doing.
It was Kendrick's year.
It's Kendrick's year. You know, it's just a great way to top it off. There's Squabble Up's been added to the karaoke list, so people are doing that. That's what it represents. But The Lupe album, going to the Lupe show a few months ago and how amazing it was. He's still just as great as he's ever been. The production on this, I think, is what really sends it for me. The beats on this are so fucking good. It felt like a bunch of beats I would rap on. I was just like, yeah, this Lupe album is dope.
Yeah. I also listened to the Vince Staples album, Dark Times, one of my favorite albums this year. Vince is incredibly underrated. This album is very, very good. I mean, the life hard, but I go harder. Life hard, but I go harder. If you can't think of anything else that fits this year and just how this year has been very ups and downs, but we've had to roll with the punches.
Gotta go harder.
Great record. The Freddie Gibbs album I really like as well.
Thanks to Gibbs.
Yeah, very good album. And the Tyler album. Those were like all of my albums that I picked that I listened to the most. Grande Mahogany is another one I listen to a lot. Mentioned that more than once. As Grande as also very great album.
Yeah, shout out to West Side Gun. The Still Praying album's one of my favorite albums of the year. That one felt like a West Side Gun album. Yeah, Lupe, West Side, Boldy, Makami. Those are probably some of my favorite albums of the year. It's been an incredible year for. There's still a bunch of albums I haven't listened to. I was telling you before we came in here, Redman just released Muddy Waters 2, and that shit said 32 tracks, and I was that's a little bit 32 songs, Phil. You are talking 32 crazy, songs my guy, is crazy, bro. It's a lot of music.
Yeah, but I agree. The West Side album is also very good. The Common album also.
The Common album, good. Common and Pete Rock. Yeah. Oh shit, that one is up there, dude. That's a really fucking good album. Pete Rock with some of his best production that he's had in a long time. Common going absolutely insane. Definitely. Oh my god, this year.
Yes. Breakout star of the year. I feel like I could guess your breakout star of the year, and mine might be the same. So I
think ours are the same, right?
Yeah. So I put a few notes just in case ours are the same, so we can give some honorable mentions. But I'm assuming both of us picked Jacob, right?
I mean, is there anybody else in the world that it has done better than this guy? Like, there's been a bunch of people that I think have had improvements, a bunch of people that you could put in most improved and had a great year. But like, as far as like breaking out, the company's gonna run off of this guy's back. It's hard to put anybody above Jacob Fatu. Seeing that clip with him facing off of Braun Strowman just last night, and the energy is like, oh, there's nobody like Jake.
I think that's part of what makes him breakout star of the year. Everybody they put him in there with and did the stare downs, everybody got immediately excited at the potential of the match.
Every time.
Every single time you put him across from somebody, people got excited for it. I mean, the way that he's capitalized on his moments this year, the way they introduced him and made him a part of one of the main storylines, not even one of the main storyline in the company, and he ended up not just excelling, but looking like the more interesting guy on the heel side every single time, putting him in that War Games match and him having his moments the way he did, and there was CM Punk and some of the biggest stars in the company.
Roman's in this match, and we're still talking about Jake more than fucking Roman, Phil. That's how good this guy is.
Yeah, I mean, the way that people have completely looked past Solo Sikoa and looked right at him, it's like, yo, this is the guy moving forward. He definitely feels like that's the guy they're going to invest big in 2025.
Yeah. Like, this business is going to run off of him. He's bloodline for real. We want to see a big face-offs against so many wrestlers. Like, when this thing, whatever they do with this bloodline thing, Jacob's coming out on top. Super excited for him too. Bay guy, like all the things are just great. He is 100% authentically himself there too. It's great.
Yes. If it wasn't Jacob, I think for me, it would probably be Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher's had a fantastic year as well.
Yeah.
The Ring of Honor run he had, the stuff that he's doing with Ospreay, the heel turn. He's had an incredible year. Of course, the Continental Classic run. Fantastic year for him. In terms of like how over he's gotten so fast, I couldn't put anybody over Jacob.
Yeah, I think Fletcher beating Ospreay and then having this incredible run in the Continental Classic is why he was my honorable mention too. I think like as far as establishing a future AEW star, there's not one that's been more. So I guess you could say Mariah May, but that feels different than what like Kyle represent, because Mariah May is like a world champion. Like she essentially is already there. Like they're saying like in 2 years, in 3 years, this is going to be the guy, and they established him so much. But Jacob was in the biggest moments, the biggest pay-per-views, outshining fucking legends, and it's just hard to put people over that.
Yeah. I agree. Mariah is also a honorable mention for me. The year that she had, the fact that she came straight in and they had a direction for her, part of one of the biggest storylines of the year. I would say Harley Cameron is another honorable mention this year. Definitely one of the most improved wrestlers this year. And Joe Hendry. You got to say Joe Hendry had an incredible year. Just how over this guy is on TNA wrestling. The fact that there's signs for him at WWE shows now. I have to assume he's probably going to be in a Rumble next year. So Joe Hendry's definitely in the conversation.
They got him set up for another world title match. I don't know if they're going to execute or if he's out of here on the next train smoking, but might be a little too late. But yeah, definitely a breakout year for him. Harley has been insane. Like if you would have asked me in the beginning of the year, which one of these women in this locker room are we going to be, everybody's going to be talking about, and we're going to be talking about her in a totally different light, it'll be Harley Cameron. Like she broke out and she expanded. Like she earned every position that she's in for sure.
Yeah. Favorite moment of the year. This was kind of hard for me too, because there were so many big moments this year. Yeah. It was tough for me, but I'm gonna go with Brian winning the title at All In.
Okay,
just like what that meant this year, and just like waiting so long for him to finally get that moment. The fact that he got it in there with Swerve, and what that match did for Swerve. Just the fact that people are comparing that to his biggest career highlight up to that point, with WrestleMania 30 and being out there with his family, and just how big of a moment that was for me. I think it's Brian winning the title for me.
That was an insane moment. Swerve looked like the biggest fucking heel in the world. He's coming in as world champion, have all this storytelling with fucking Bryan Danielson. Bree's there, his kids are there, like Final Countdown. When Final Countdown hit, that fucking All In feel, oh my God. I thought, just wrap me up and take me out of here. An amazing moment. My moment is connected to Swerve too. I think Swerve beating Samoa Joe and winning the AEW World Championship for what he represents, for what I am in this space, a black wrestling fan. I create this fucking list of black wrestlers. My mission objective is to put black wrestlers over. And for like, if you would ask 13-year-old Reggie what like the perfect wrestler was, I would have showed you Swerve Strickland. And for that guy to be the number one guy, for that guy to get this big moment, to be the first AEW World Champion, beating Samoa Joe, who has this long history, but at the same time establishing himself as one of the top stars in the company, like Swerve winning that was so fucking important. Feel like it's a moment in a bunch of amazing moments this year, but like if I had to pick one, like that means so much.
Yeah, I had that one in my notes as well. Just being able to be there for his win, and just like,
unbelievable,
man, the confetti and just like everything, like I made sure to be there for that match. I mean, also the other matches that were on that card, and the fact that it was capped off with him winning, big moment of 2024. And I think
people's match of the year are on that show.
Yes. So yeah, I agree that if it wasn't the Brian win, it would have been that one for me. I also,
and I think it's vice versa for me. Like number 2 is Brian, because Brian's my favorite wrestler of all time. So of course he's number 2, you know?
Yeah, of course. Also Cody finishing the story at WrestleMania. That's got to be up there. The fact that they actually stuck the landing on that after kicking it down the road for another year, and then some of the decisions that seemed like they were going to make to start this year with The Rock and Roman, and they actually got it right. They came full circle. The tag match actually worked out for them on night one, and then that led to him winning on night one, and just what that meant. Him winning and having his mom out there, and Brandy, and man, the fact that Seth Rollins stuck to his guns, and just their moment after their feud a year ago. I thought like there was too many things linked into that. Like just one of the greatest WrestleMania moments we've ever seen.
It's been such a long year. I remember we were in Philly. Phil was at the show, and I remember I had it on. I was walking to Wawa. I had it on my phone, and I was listening to it in my AirPods, and just thinking like, this is such a crazy moment. Just thinking of like all the how Cody got here from the AEW stuff to they didn't finish the story, then he finishes the story and it still hit just as hard because they added more adversity inadvertently with The Rock coming in and throwing a wrench in their plans. But Cody still fucking did it and it hit and all the moments were great. That's definitely up there. Another honorable one for me is Mercedes versus Willow at Double or Nothing. 2 black women in this huge match. Mercedes again has her back against the wall as she always does, but is coming to prove everybody wrong once again. Willow just having an incredible year, being in a great position, having a match with Mercedes, big show, Vegas, Double or Nothing. They both come out looking great. They feel confident. They have an amazing match. Like everything surrounding that was a big deal for me.
Yeah, agreed. I would say also the New Day heel turn was one of the best moments this year. Just how well they played that out. I mean, I still can't get over this. All came out of a Karrion Kross storyline, and we got to one of the best heel turns this year with that, and them getting that great reaction on Raw afterwards, bringing Big E into it, and how that played out. All of that was very, very good.
I almost made them my tag team of the year just based off that. Like that's how I was like almost like, damn, that was so good. The fucking Big E thing, like they've been like one of the forefronts of the tag division that's not so existent, but they've still been present in it, you know?
Yes. Also Mariah's heel turn at the women's Owen Hart Classic. Also a big moment this year. Yeah, it was tough at one point because I was like, all right, I think it's Brian. But when I really broke down all my moments, I was like, okay, that could be number one. Because, man, Swerve winning could have been number one for me as well.
I mean, Brian and Ospreay as a match, just getting like many consider the best wrestler in the world. Many consider the best wrestler of all time in this epic main event that exceeds all of our expectation. Like that as a moment is insane.
Yeah. I mean, what it means for me and like the way I see Sheldon, I think Sheldon is a legend. Like, him getting that ovation he did during that backstage segment and then going on to have like an incredible comeback year, that's up there for me as well. Just because Sheldon is, I think, man, a legend, bro. Like he does not get his flowers enough.
I fucking hate the chant "you deserve it," but I will chant "you deserve it" at this guy because he deserves it. You know what I mean? Like him coming in and getting that ovation and then cooking with all of our favorite wrestlers, like amazing.
Yeah. Promo of the year.
This one was pretty difficult because there was a lot of good stuff. I think the strongest promo, like Max was out for a lot of it. He's usually the strong promo guy. This one was mostly about like establishing stories. I think for what we talked about a little bit earlier and what has came of it, Hangman burning down Swerve's house, his childhood home. Like there might not be a more impactful promo all year, just of like what it came like. Now Hangman's this fucking devious ass heel, and Swerve has this infinite amount of payback that's coming towards this guy. The way that they established it earlier in the show, Swerve and Nana cheesing in front of the house, and then he ends up burning it down. And Hangman with the clip that Double Dub Will Washington posted earlier this week on Blue Sky with the alternate angle and how close Hangman was to the house. Like
maniac.
It did a lot, man. That promo did a fucking lot.
Yeah, for Hangman, I felt like it was either that one or the backstage one from Collision where he's like, and he never paid for it. And they chose him over me. That promo was so good. But for me, no promo this year made me feel like The Rock coming out with that Versace vest on and running down the crowd, calling people trailer park trash again. Bro,
crackheads.
I was out of my seat. That for me is promo of the year, man.
That's pretty good.
And I mean, just that time period of him dropping the IG promos, man, like there was nothing more entertaining in wrestling than The Rock at that point. Like him coming out and man, bro, that promo was man.
Him beating Cody's ass outside of his bus. That was this year too, huh?
Yes, that was in Chicago.
Damn, Rock got a couple of them, honestly.
Yeah, that beat down in the rain. Yeah, but for me, man, The Rock coming out in the Versace vest. I believe that was February. I had it written down. February 16th. man, what a promo.
Versace vest Rock is an amazing promo. Yeah.
You have running down the city of Salt Lake. And man, there's so many great things that's funny about it because I rewatched it this morning. But him opening it and saying, man, you guys broke a record for the most people in the arena. And he was like, you guys like that, right? You like that? This is the biggest collective of trailer park trash I have ever seen.
I watched him talk about it on like Jimmy Fallon or something. And he's like, yeah, I'm just berating these people, tearing them down, calling their women crackheads, calling them ugly. And like, they're all just cheering me. I'm like, yeah, you're The Rock. You can do this. You can come out and berate a whole crowd of people, call them the worst, ugliest, fattest, dumbest people ever. And they're like, yeah, do it again.
Yeah. So many great moments from that. Him, oh, you really want to boo The Rock? You want to boo The Rock? And then he gets into finally, your life has meaning. Finally, you can say you see greatness in the flesh.
So good.
Yeah, that, man, no other promo had me out of my seat this year. I just had to pick that one. Because at first I was thinking, and I was like, oh, wait, nah, that Rock promo. That's the one.
The Rock promo was the one, because I was off The Rock when there was some time when he came back with the Cena shit, and I was like, you know what? This fool got the promos written on his hand. He just he's trying to play the character of The Rock. He's not encompassing The Rock. This fool comes out with his fucking Muhammad Ali title, his Versace vest. I'm like, oh, this guy is the guy. This is The Rock that we've been missing. And he just comes in talking that same old shit he's been talking since 1998, but it's a new swag about it. I feel you. I understand why you made that your number one.
Yeah. I did not care at all at one point about Rock coming back. I was like, all right, let's get to it. Let's get to the Roman match and let's get this over with. When he turned heel, that changed everything, man.
Yep. Him doing the smiling, happy to be here, Rock holding people's arms up. I'm like, I don't care about this shit, dog. But when he got to it, then he got to it.
Yeah. Also, really love the Seth Rollins promo where he tells Cody, I'll be your shield, and how that played out in the WrestleMania. It's also one of my promos of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
Punk had a couple of them too.
I think Punk's best promo this year is probably the one right after Royal Rumble when he finds out he tore his tricep, and he's breaking down why he's going to get back to WrestleMania next year. That's one of the top ones. He's had some this year where I was like,
a couple of them weren't that great.
He had a few with Drew that were good. The Drew promo was also good. Seth had a few Punk promos this year that I couldn't remember that were really good. I feel like they're back and forth right before Royal Rumble. That's one of them as well.
Mm-hmm. I like the one that they just had a few weeks ago too. The one where they started and then Sammy came out, and the one where Punk was like, I don't be thinking about you, big dog.
Yes.
That was a really good one too.
Yes. Toni Storm, I feel like her best promo was the one where she was standing in glass right before Forbidden Door, and she was basically doing the Statue of Liberty bit. Yeah, that's also, I feel like, one of the promos of the year.
That's one of the best promos in all of wrestling for sure, man or woman. That one's incredible. Brian had, what was the one? No, I'm thinking of, he had one really great one before the All-In match.
Yeah. It's not really a promo, but that the on-stage interview that Deanna and Tony did, where Tony is like, I heard that they've been body shaming you recently, and I think that's ridiculous because there are so many more things to shame about you.
Tony had a bunch this year. She was a breakout star for sure with them promos.
Yeah. Feud of the year. I mean, I think people don't mind. It's CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. That was by far the best feud of the year in terms of what they got out of their trilogy of matches. They were a little shaky. Once we started doing the friendship bracelet stuff, I was like, I don't know, guys. And then the SummerSlam match, I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I thought they recovered the Bash in Berlin match, even though we had to have the lights on the posts. I thought that was a much better match. And the Hell in a Cell match is easily one of the best matches this year.
Hell in a Cell match is the best WWE match of the year for me. So I get it. Like that's that was the intensity and the fucking. That's what a Hell in a Cell match is supposed to be like. For years, they've been having this pay-per-view, and it's just like, oh, we're to this pay-per-view. Let's try to get this feud to be in a blood feud, and it never gets to that. This one was a blood feud. They had the crazy ass toolbox spot, like shit was nuts up in there. Drew with that nasty bump on his on the ring steps. Like this one felt like a blood feud for sure. Mine's is the same type of blood feud, but on the opposite end of the spectrum in AEW. Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland, I think, was the most angry that these two guys have been. It's excelled. Hangman, we just talked in length about Hangman Adam Page, and he should win the world championship tonight based off what he did in this feud. He set Swerve's house on fire. He was so angry. He could have been AEW world champion if he wasn't so obsessed with trying to end Swerve stuff. And I think Swerve, as world champion and in this feud, established himself as, you don't even need the world championship to be in something important. You're a top guy now. It's different energy. When the show starts, they're chanting Swerve's house. Like this is, you've gotten to that next level, and Hangman's the reason, a big part of the reason why. Like that disgusting match. I see that syringe clip referenced not in wrestling now. It'll just be Football Sunday. They're talking about that clip with two football teams. Like they helped each other become two mainstream guys. Hangman was already there, but he's at an even higher level based off of this.
Yeah. The only reason, because it's of course in my honorable mention, the only reason I couldn't put it over CM Punk and Drew is because I was thinking, all right, what were their big pay-per-view matches? And funny enough, they had 3 matches this year, because they had the TV match, then they had the triple threat match, which was very good. I think it's underrated. And you had that great finish of Hangman tapping out on purpose to cost Swerve the belt. And then, of course, you had the cage match at All Out.
Lights Out.
I just think, like, for the time that they were given this year, they probably got more out of Punk and McIntyre, and that's possibly because Punk was hurt, and so they had to lean into it for so long. But you also got so many good segments, like the Punk coming and doing the promo with Paulie, and then we get backstage and he got laid out. They did so many good things with this. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Clash of Castle finish, but in retrospect, Punk costing him the match and doing the same pose that Drew had on his shirt, very, very funny. I think underrated, that should be on a lot of other people's radar of one of the best feuds this year was Lee Johnson versus Kyle Fletcher. The matches they were doing on Ring of Honor were really, really good. And I also said in my honorable mentions, Willow versus Statlander.
Yeah, Willow versus Stat. I think the women's division in AEW had a lot because Tony and Mariah was in mine too, because I mean, what it did for both those women. There was a point where that was one of, if not the hottest feud in the whole company. That's why I felt like, why I understand why your pick is so high, because even with Bloodline and Cody and all these people, Drew and Punk still was the hottest shit. And it's hard to be when the company's telling you they want you to focus on something else. They're like, no, this is Bloodline though. And everybody's like, nah, we're into this shit though. So that's a feat.
Yes. And I thought Drew came out of this as one of the top heels in the company. He made the most out of it. He had some great promos and segments this year. I wish he had a better direction moving forward. I mean, he has come out of this looking good as well in the promos since he's been back, the matches he's had. But it is very funny that it's the same thing that Punk was like, wait a minute, who's going to be at work Monday? Oh, well, you are. It's like Drew is here, and then Punk is basically a part-timer, and Drew is basically out of the world title picture at this point.
The only thing that's unfortunate that came out of it is like, well, you don't want to drop Drew too low because he should still be up there too. Like if Punk's going to fight, Drew should be right there on the side of him. Like he's a big, heavy heel for any world champion to be in there with, and that's the only thing. But he came back to big fanfare. Like Drew has established himself as one of those you know.
He's fine. But yeah, in terms of what you're saying with Hangman and Swerve, like the most iconic image this year for AEW is Hangman sitting in front of that house on fire, and probably one of the greatest cliffhangers from a go home they've ever produced. Like I'm trying to really think. I think it's the best. Like I can't
might
think
be
of
the
anything.
best. Yeah. I can't think of anything else that left it an impression like that. That was capitalized on, at least.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was the stare down with Kenny and Hangman leading up to Full Gear when Hangman beat Kenny, but there's a few other when I can really, if I really
still
think
Hangman,
but I still think it's Hangman.
He's just a good go home guy, I guess.
Yeah. Tag team of the year, as we said, not a great year for
hardest one out of every category was fucking tag team of the year, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, tag team of the year was real tough for me. Because I mean, it's not just that tag teams haven't been featured well. I mean, we talked about multiple times now that there were no tag title matches on most of the major WWE pay-per-views this year. There was no, there's no big rivalry for the tag titles on their programming. And AEW, I think they did good things here and there with tag team wrestling, but
not consistently.
It wasn't consistent. It didn't feel like the tag team wrestling was nearly as prominent as it was in years past.
Like at all. It wasn't the focus. And like Young Bucks were champions for part of it. They were establishing a lot of things. I felt like it was going to get there, but it never really did. So yeah, this was so hard. Like I said, at one point I had the New Day in there just because of the promo, but I changed it to just because of what it represents and what they did. I picked the Motor City Machine Guns. People are probably going to be like, well, what do you mean? But just for like a tag team that's been one of the greatest tag teams of all time, never doing it up there, never being a part of it. Then there's this controversy. They're going to send them to NXT and me being like, that'll be the dumbest fucking thing they ever did. Then them coming and winning the championships almost immediately and being featured in the SmackDown tag division. I think for what it represents and who they are, they felt like my favorite tag team, but that was just because I went through all the tag teams and all the pros and cons, and they felt like they had the most pros.
Yeah. I picked Fraxium, which a lot of year-end lists picked Fraxium as well.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the list of matches they had this year.
They had the best matches for sure.
Yeah, they were the most impressive in ring, so I picked Fraxium. I think Bianca and Jade, also, there's a really good argument for them. The first women to make #1 on the PWI tag team list. That's a huge achievement.
Bianca's the first. Bianca's the first to ever be double. She was #1 on this and #1 on this. She's amazing.
Yes. Also, when you think about what tag team was the most consistent on pay-per-views this year, it was them.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think of anybody else. They were featured the most of any tag team on WWE pay-per-views this year.
This is probably the best and most interested people have been in those championships. Like people are interested in the story. Like they played a really big role. They established those. They looked great while doing it. They meant a lot to the division.
Yeah.
But still, tag team wrestling was fucking brutal, man.
I had a hard time. Private Party's up there. There's an argument for Private Party, but I just couldn't put them over Fraxium because of the year Fraxium had.
I almost put the Bucks in there. I was like, maybe I could put the Bucks in there, and looking at like they had some strong stuff, but like they didn't. The vibes were not there.
Yeah, I think they started having good matches towards the end of the year. That whole elite storyline just completely floundered, and I think that hurt them. And this tag run wasn't great either.
I like the end though. They started to get the matches for sure, but like the stories and everything surrounding it, like there was points where I thought they were going to get with Mercedes. I was like, I like this, but they just didn't. They never got to it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Tag team. Get it better in 2025, you guys. What are you doing?
Please, I would love to come in here next year and say, man, tag team wrestling is surging this year. This tag team is doing well. This tag team is doing well. Please get this together. You've got enough tag teams at both of these companies to do better.
They have good tag teams in almost every wrestling company at this point. Like it doesn't make sense that it's not always fire. Like NXT has the hottest tag team matches. What are y'all doing? That shouldn't be a thing.
And there's so many things where I feel like they set us up like, oh, this is going to be the tag team to watch. And then it didn't. Like, Wrestle Young Veterans, they just showed up at All In. And then it was like, okay, where's this going? Apparently nowhere. I don't know.
It frustrates me with them I still think they could cook. Like, I still think they could represent. Like, what I talk about with FTR, like, that's the issue is they keep putting Grizzly Young Vets in these opportunities, but you got to give them like 15 minutes. They're one of those old school tag team matches. That time in their matches is when it really gets kicked off. If you put them in squash matches, people are never going to understand them.
I thought that was going to be the big feud for FTR this year, and then it wasn't.
It was not.
I don't know what happened there.
FTR was just kept kicking it with the Outrunners, and I'm like, why y'all kicking it with them? Kick it with Grizzly Young Vets.
Yeah, confusing. Male Wrestler of the Year. For me, when you just look at like what I picked as my best moment of 2024, what I picked as like a lot of my favorite matches this year from Wrestle Kingdom on, the Zack Saber match at New Beginnings, like the multiple TV matches, the run and the men's Owen Hart Cup. It's Bryan Danielson for me by far. And I mean, you can make a huge argument for Will Ospreay, but in terms of like what this year, I feel like this was the best year of his post WWE run.
This was insane of a year. Like, if you just said this is the one year that this guy wrestled, he'd have one of the craziest resumes of all time. And Bryan had already had 20 plus years of amazing matches and moments. And then he's had amazing matches and moments in AEW in his post career, but to do this on what they're calling his retirement year, on what they're saying he's winding down against matches against Okada, Zack Sabre Jr., Swerve, Will Ospreay. And these are some of the best matches, not of the year, Phil, ever. These are like, he's still fighting at the highest level. He's still pissing us off with his damn seizures mid-match. He's still playing, he's still getting all the emotions out of us that he can. And this is supposed to be the end. And he's your number one wrestler, and he's a lot of people's number one wrestler of the years. Insane resume. The All In is going to be remembered forever. The Will Ospreay match is going to be remembered forever. Bryan is still Bryan, my favorite wrestler of all time. I think we're going to see him wrestle again. I just don't understand anything that's going on.
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to wrestle again.
When I saw that clip of Bree showing him like in the cold plunge or whatever, I'm like, this guy's a fucking sicko. He won't even take 5 minutes to just stop.
Please go get this neck surgery. Take some time off, dude. Like, stop playing.
He will not stop. Like, just sit down for 5 minutes, Bryan. This was like doing flips and shit in the corner. Like, dude, what in the world? I think, yeah, just kind of the same mind. My moment of the year, what was established, how this guy became, the matches. It's hard to put anybody over Swerve Strickland. Became first Black AEW World Champion. I've been to so many AEW shows this year outside of the arena where people are saying whose house, Swerve's house, before any wrestling is involved. I see Swerve shirts not at wrestling shows. I see him at these events with fucking Queen's Flip, and he's in these different positions, and just where he's been and what he's done. It's like again, 13-year-old Reggie is like, this is what a perfect pro wrestler is. And that guy exists here. The matches he's had are insane. The Ospreay match, the triple threat match, you said, the singles match against Joe, the main event against Bryan. He just had all the great shit against Hangman, that cage match, the chair shot, the cinder blocks. Like, he's just done so many things to establish himself. And for it to be Swerve and him saying before he came in, these are all the things that I'm going to do, and then just marking all the lists off throughout the year. Super hard for me to put anybody above him. He had such an incredible year. I'm just like you. I don't understand why he isn't on the show tonight. It's very confusing. I think he earned a position there, but I guess they're trying to tell a story.
Yeah. I agree. What a year. First wrestler in 20 years or so to reach number 2 on a PWI.
Yep.
And from where he came from, 112 all the way up to number 2. That's insane.
Almost got on number 1. Boy, I came with a fight to that PWI. I'm like, here are all the reasons why. They're like, we can't, Reg. Almost. He's number 2.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they picked the right guy as number 1. There was no way.
It's Cody. Come on.
Beating Roman, all the rest of that stuff. 2-time Royal Rumble winner. That's why he's in my honorable mentions as well. Cody Rhodes, definitely in the conversation for Wrestler of the Year, because not just what he accomplished, some of the matches he had this year. I think people are not giving him enough credit for some of these title defenses. The AJ match at Backlash. I think the Kevin Owens match.
Kevin
was
Owens
really
stuff has
good.
been great.
Yeah.
But beyond that, Phil, he's still the super most over motherfucker in the world.
Yes.
So over.
So
yeah, Cody earned all of his positions, had the great win at WrestleMania, still has been a top guy. Like, he's definitely a mention here.
Yeah, for
He won
sure.
the world title.
Takesha's also my honorable mentions. All of the guys that we named that were like, these guys are in the list of top guys this year. He had matches with most of them. He had a swerve match that was fire. He had Ospreay's first pay-per-view match as a full-time competitor.
That shit was crazy.
And that match was fantastic. He had the Darby match this year that was also incredible. The G1 run, of course, and then coming back as champion, the Speedball match at Maple Leaf Pro. Man, he's had a phenomenal year, bro.
His resume is crazy. And that's just Phil named like 6 matches. There's like 15 to 16 more. They're all heat. Every time he wrestled, he killed it. He's in there as far as like bell rings, no character work, no nothing. Like when the bell rings, Takesha is like a top 3 wrestler in the world this year. And I mean, Ospreay is like, we talk so much about Ospreay, undeniable. He hasn't had a bad match yet. Like every time he's on the screen, he feels like a big deal. His promos are big. Like everything about him reads a main event wrestler.
Yeah, Ospreay, of course. All of the big matches this year. First year as a television wrestler, turns out pretty good at it. Very good at cutting the promos and stuff on TV. His matches are can't miss on every pay-per-view he's been on this year. You have a hard time picking anybody that had a better year than this guy. But I mean, the guys we picked is pretty stiff competition. Like I said, Brian, and I think the best year he's had post WWE. Swerve having an incredible year, historic year for him. Stiff competition, but I mean, I'm sure if you get 5 of us in a room, like at least 3 people are going to probably say Ospreay.
Definitely. And like with competition like that, to still do all that is crazy.
Yes. Women's Wrestler of the Year. I feel like it was far and away Athena last year. We both came in here like, yeah, Athena, it can't be. I kind of feel like we're both going to say the same person because it's like far and away Toni Storm.
She, I was going to say Mercedes until I saw her on ROH and something clicked in my brain. I was just like, the fact that they're using her like this, she had this run, Phil, all year. Like the company was built on her back. Like we were all waiting around for the show for Tony's moment, Tony's promo, Tony's classic network channel, whatever, like anything she was connected to, it was around her. But for her to come back and do this new bit of, this is actually my first year. I've never been here. I'm so excited to be in these positions. I'm debuting on Ring of Honor. I'm happy to be here. The fucking Rock Hands. It's like this company was running through her for a while. How could you put anybody over her?
Yeah. I think the best AEW women's champion so far, just for like a singular run. I think when you get into a conversation of women that have had multiple runs, like Shoda, of course, in the conversation, but like what that run did for the division with Toni was on every show. She was carrying the division on her back all the way to the point that when she lost the belt to Mariah, her absence was felt because she was always visible, whether it be wrestling, doing the vignettes, doing the promos and character stuff. It was by far, she was like the most beneficial to her brand or company this year. Outside of her, I think only Roxanne was close because of what Roxanne was doing as champion. Because, I mean, when you look at some of the matches she's had, people are saying Jada Park is a breakout star this year because of that match with Roxanne and just what she's done to help build up that division. It's either her or Toni. That's why they were tied, I believe, on the Sports Illustrated list. But for me, it's Toni, man. Like even Toni going away after that loss and what that loss did for Mariah, what that storyline did for Mariah and how big that was for AEW. Easily their best storyline featuring women, and then to go away and then come back doing something completely different and still as over, still as present on every show. No, it's Tony. I mean, to the fact that we're talking about how big Mercedes was for them, and when Tony went away, Mercedes felt like the biggest star in the brand, and like to a degree, she feels like the main champion. Not even to a degree, she does. She feels like the main champion, and that's not a knock at Mariah. It's just how big of a shadow Mercedes has cast over the rest of the division. Man, when Tony was champion, she still felt like the main champion, even with Mercedes there.
She did. Mercedes was cooking, having a thing, and it still was like, oh, Tony's the star of this show. Tony, I don't know, man. Roxanne, though, you saying that? Roxanne's resume and the way that she's the youngest there, but she's still helping get everyone in this division over, that has to be commended for what she's done. Like establishing that in a company with all these amazing women. We just got Stephanie and Julia in, who they were going to say is going to come and take over this division. And Roxanne was like, absolutely not. This is my fucking division. I lead this shit. And her resume of matches is really hard to top, being in that position, being given of the world, but executing every time. Roxanne has a strong ass argument.
Yes. Yeah.
It's insane.
My other honorable mention was Mayu, because Mayu's had a fantastic year as well.
Mercedes is in mine, of course, because I think her resume of matches has been amazing. Some of the best matches of the year, some of her best matches of all time. She definitely was up there. There's a lot of moments where AEW didn't have her cooking, which I think could be held against her. But every time she was given the moment of opportunity, she knocked it out of the park.
For sure. I think she's had some great matches this year. The division is undoubtedly, benefited from her being there. When you look at stuff like them opening the show with Britt and her, and just how every woman that has had a feud with her is been more visible on TV, and it's benefited them in some way. Of course, if the Britt match was better, we would be talking differently about that feud. But in the build up to it and how big they felt on TV, it felt like two of the biggest stars in the company were in a feud. If the match was better, it just would be different.
That's it. There's that storm cloud looming over. Like, damn, then the match was not that great.
Yeah, but the build and like the segments, the promos leading
felt
up
like
to
a big deal.
It felt like a huge deal. I just wish the match was better.
You win some, you lose some. She started that lit a fire under her ass, at least. So we got some fire after that.
Because she has been fantastic, like I said, since All Out. But yeah.
Britt's been nowhere to be found.
Yeah. Match of the year. I'm sure we both have an Osprey match.
Yes, we do. I was like, which one can I choose from? There was my AEW list with Denise. I had Swerve and Joe as the match of the year just for the moment. But since we had a moment of the year, I put it to that. I think for what this I talked about it earlier, for what this match represents, for who these people are, Will Ospreay, who many consider to be the best fucking wrestler in the world. Pick one. Number one draft pick, you're picking fucking Will Ospreay first if you need somebody to go bar for bar, flow for flow in a ring. Bryan Danielson in his fucking last year, supposed to be. Bruh. He's in this fucking crazy run. The build up, the anticipation for this match is off the charts. Like, there's no way you could exceed the expectations we have for this match. And then for them to do the match, Phil, and exceed those expectations that were set to the highest level. Bryan is Bryan, the one we know and love. He's on this amazing run where he doesn't want this championship, but he's destined to get it. Ospreay's in this company trying to establish himself as, like you said, a TV wrestler, an American TV wrestler. I could do promos, I could talk, but when it's main event time, when the bell rings, nobody's going to outwork this guy. And for both of those things all those things to come together and for them to have this match at this time, like watching it again, watching the clips again when Brian took us to where he always takes us and make you think that he's dead. And then Ospreay is like having this internal battle on wanting to kill Bryan Danielson. All the elements are there. The story was there. Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay wrestled or Dynasty earlier this year. Just that's what pro wrestling's all about.
Yeah, that is definitely my match of the year. I said earlier, when I saw that Swerve was going to be in the main event and I had the feeling he was going to win, I was like, okay, I have to be there. When this match was announced for the card, I had already booked everything to be there for this match. And man, one of the greatest matches I've seen in person ever.
I can't believe it.
Bro, the way that crowd reacted from start to finish to that match, just unreal. That the Swerve and Ospreay match was kind of the same energy being there for that one at Forbidden Door. But this match, man, bro, just too many moments in this match. But just kicking off that storyline from the beginning of this year that Brian had gotten humbled. He came into this company very arrogant, like, I'm going to kick these young kids' heads in. I'm going to be champion. And at every turn, he could not beat one of these young guys, losing to Hangman, losing to Mox. Sorry, not Mox, but Max. Well, he lost to Mox too, but losing to Max at Revolution, starting this year and losing to Okada at Wrestle Kingdom, declaring himself the best technical wrestler in the world, losing to Zack Sabre Jr. All of these guys, it's just like, I don't know, can this guy still hang? And getting in this match and facing a guy that's younger, faster, hungrier than him, and you could see it at every point, the story they tell throughout this match of him not being able to keep up. That spot of them going corner for corner, of him starting to try and hype himself up with the yes, and Ospreay pulling his elbow pad off and just coming out, exploding out of the corner and completely clobbering him. It was just like, I think he might be done. I don't think he needs to wrestle no more.
He did.
The finish of the match with the Tiger Driver and what that meant for Ospreay coming into this company, because he used that move to beat Kenny Omega, and how he was in a different place when he used it there because he wanted to hurt Kenny Omega, but then in this match not wanting to use this move on somebody that's considered his idol, and how that affected the rest of the year storylines with Ospreay, and how this match set up everything with Brian for the rest of the year and him going for one last shot at the title. Easily my match of the year. There are a few other ones that I could come up with for Ospreay, but this one,
that one's the one. That's all the elements. Ospreay, the best against Brian. Like, you just can't write a better fucking script than this.
I would say Swerve Brian All in London's up there too. Really, really great match. The speedball match that I mentioned earlier with Takeshita, very, very good match.
Strong.
The Mercedes Suzuki match, also really, really good.
I love Mercedes and Stat, Mercedes and Willow, the Mercedes and Hazuki match. Ospreay and Pac from fucking, you were there, right? What was that? All Out? Insane. Fucking in one of the best matches you'll ever see in a fucking resume full of insane matches. But that match is crazy.
Yeah, Swerve Ospreay, Forbidden Door. I mean, there are at least 4 Ospreay matches I was in the crowd for this year that I'm like, dude, great matches I've ever seen.
Crazy.
The Brian Zack Sabre match from New Beginnings, also very, very good.
Super fun. Brian and Okada.
Yes, Brian Okada, Punk McIntyre, Hell in a Cell.
Yep. It's my WWE match of the year. That match is incredible.
Yeah,
AJ and Cody match where they do the Burning Hammer. Fire.
Yes. Lot of really good matches I could think of. Like on the women's side, the Mayu Momu match from Historic Crossover, very good match as well. The Io match with Utami, very, very good match as well. Great year of wrestling all around. Like just from
insane year.
Great wrestling.
Like we could go on for 5 more hours on matches. Like we didn't even crack the surface on how many amazing matches happened this year. It's crazy.
Yeah. Man, there was a Pac match at that Dynasty card. Pac Okada on that card, also very, very good.
Mm-hmm. That was one of Okada's first in the company. Oh my God, insane. I mean, and you know, we said it a lot with kind of the classic, but Darby and Ospreay is definitely a match of the year for the energy, what it represent. Like that, you can't replicate that energy too many times.
Yeah. Statlander Willow match at All Out was also very good. One of the best women's matches this year.
Yep.
Pay-per-view of the year.
Nice transition, because my pay-per-view of the year is AEW presents All Out. I think with how many matches we talked about, that match, Ospreay and Pac, the cage match main event. I think those three matches were so impactful and had so much going on, and the energy in that building that you guys were giving up. All Out was such a impactful show, especially considering coming off what All In was, and it was different from last year and what that represented. But then to come immediately after with an amazing show like this, featuring the future of your company in a lot of different ways, I loved All Out.
Yeah, All Out was very good. I was there. Of course, that crazy cage match to end the night. Mox trying to murder Brian after the match with Jack. Yep. Very, very good show. For me, it was AEW Revolution. Just the vibe in there.
Sting.
I mean, Seek and Destroy, bro. Come on, man. Just the vibe in there. The Eddie Kingston Bryan match, which is another Bryan match this year, that was amazing. The story coming into that match of Bryan finally had to humble himself after losing to Eddie Kingston, of all people. Eddie coming in as Triple Crown champion, and what it meant for Eddie to finally beat Bryan on that big of a stage.
Revolution.
The Roderick Orange Cassidy match on that card. One of the most underrated tag matches this year to me. Claudio and Mox versus FTR. Very, very good tag match.
Ospreay and Takeshita was on there too.
Ospreay versus Takeshita. That was Ospreay's first pay-per-view match as a full-time AEW signee. Toni Storm versus Deanna, which I didn't know why people hated so much at the time. I enjoyed that match.
Good match. I like that match a lot.
Then the triple threat match, Samoa Joe versus Hangman versus
Damn,
Swerve.
Revolution was fire. Hold on. What a fucking lineup. I have forgot, because there's been so many other amazing shows. But yeah, that was a sick ass show. Ending with Sting and Darby winning the belts. Like, this is fire.
Yeah, just that moment. Just what a great retirement match for Sting. Probably the best send-off I've seen in recent memory for any wrestler. Having his sons involved, like the Young Bucks part they played in it. Darby getting that big moment next to Sting after his time with the company. Yeah, it's AEW Revolution for me. It was show of the year.
Yeah, that's definitely an amazing show on a number of amazing shows that they had this year. But ending with Sting, how could you top that?
Yeah, just such a great moment for the company, and them showing like this was kind of built up at this company where somebody can have a second chance or bet on themselves, and for him to come in and have like such a great send off after like the WWE run and everything that they did. I mean, there's so many other wrestlers that have come here. We talked about like Bryan having his moment at All Out, and like what this has done for Shelton in this revamp, like what it's done for Swerve since, like, I mean, really what it's done for Mox after he left WWE. All of these wrestlers came here and got this second chance, or got a chance to like revitalize their career. But man, giving Sting this moment is going to go down as one of the greatest things AEW has ever done.
Yeah, this is going to hit forever. People are going to remember this for a lifetime. When his two sons came down and the Sting, like, yo, what?
He's right. One of his sons is training to be a wrestler now after that moment.
Yeah. Major. Super major.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think All in London's up there for me, just with like some of the high points from that show. Of course, WrestleMania 40. Night 2 is much better than Night 1 in my opinion. But yeah, as a whole, WrestleMania 40 is up there. What's the NXT Heat Wave is up there because of like how that flipped everything around for NXT. That felt like a takeover show. That was one of the hottest crowds NXT has had this year on their pay-per-views. I don't always watch NXT, but I try to keep up with their pay-per-views. That was easily their best pay-per-view of this year.
The energy around NXT pay-per-views is always really dope, especially when they got like Faxium and they got like Wesley, Evans, like all of those guys are just going crazy. It feels like that's a company to watch, but then you get to their show and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna just keep watching the big shows. That's it.
Yeah, that is our year review.
Insane year.
Sure you get great year of wrestling, great moments. A lot of controversy, like the Vince stuff, but what a year! It's still wild to me that all that Vince stuff happened, and then we got the Vince doc. What a wild year!
Netflix is still trying to recommend. They're like, dude, we know you want to watch this. Watch this, and I'm like, I'm good. You guys.
You still haven't watched it?
No, they're still every time I go on, they're like, hey, put this on, dude. We know you want to see this.
Yeah, it's been recommended it to me as well. When I turn on, I'm like, I've watched it already. I don't need to watch it again.
Especially when
listen, I want to watch Cobra Kai. Leave me alone.
Yeah, straight up, dude. Send me to Cobra Kai. I don't want to watch this.
Leave me alone.
Great year though. I'm sure 2025 will be even crazier with WWE going to Netflix, AEW being on Max. Like some shit's gonna change moving forward, and I'm really excited to see what happens.
Yep. Last call for super chats and humper chats.
Mm-hmm.
So we are gonna get out of here.
Yep. The homie Van Twinblade says, Reg, play, please, Eddie, come get your boy John Moxley. He's hurt, Van Twinblade. Let him live.
Yeah, no, that picture of whoever that Eddie Kingston lookalike in the crowd at Hammerstein was hilarious. Did you see that?
I did see that. It's New York. Duh, they're going to find an Eddie Kingston lookalike out there, B. Sean Martin says, why do y'all keep forgetting about Darby climbing Everest? It's obvious what they're doing with him when they factored this into the story.
Maybe because I don't want him to climb this mountain. Maybe that's why I'm forgetting.
100%. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I hope they cancel that again and he just keeps wrestling because I don't want him to do that.
No, you can stay at home. It's cool.
It's fine. I know you're nuts, Darby. I see it every time. Like, you don't have to prove that you're super nuts by climbing Mount Everest with half the clothes you should have on. And then Lyndon Aaron III says, tag graps in the WWE have never been a priority and likely will not be. My hope is AEW can reset properly with the roster they have.
Agreed. Yeah.
I hope so. They know how important tag team wrestling is. They just have to do it.
Yeah. I mean, WWE has so many great tag teams. It just seems like it should be better. I mean, when you look at the tag teams they have, bro, I don't know. Like it should be hot over there, man. You got War Raiders, you got Motor City Machine Guns right now, Street Profits, DIY. I don't know what's going on is Pretty Deadly. They're like trying to do this musical thing that's not really funny, but what are you gonna do? That is crazy. I forgot about that. Richard Ramos says, if Lupe can climb,
that's
Mount Everest,
right,
then Darby is more than qualified. I keep forgetting that he climbed Mount Everest.
There's like a documentary and like a song attached to all of it. I do remember that. That is so funny.
He talked about it on Enemy of the State mixtape, which is fire.
Super fire. Leonard Harris III also says, Christian better burn that contract. Mox is not playing and we'll have all the patriarchy in a hospital. I don't think so.
Yeah. He not sending, well, I forgot he got Marina. Marina about that action. Let me take that back. I was about to say, they're not sending Mama Wayne to hospital, but Marina. Marina about that action, so I don't know.
She don't really care about most of that. She will fuck Mama Wayne up for sure. The homie Meet Norma says, I'm so happy wrestling is hot right now because you know who is 5-22. I went to 2 Dynamites and got to meet Will Hobbs at the last one. Dope picture, Meet Normus. Keep up the great work and have a happy new year, Grapsody.
Yeah, what a year, man. Appreciate you, Meet Normus. Hopefully Wizards are good enough to get a draft pick or something, make some free agent moves next year. But buddy, this season is not it.
I'm thinking about next year, get everybody in the gym, have them dribble, and next year they can maybe do it. I shout out to the homie Meet Norman. Still appreciate your support, and that picture with you and the big homies Hobbs is dope. That is all of our super chats.
I believe that is all of our Humper chats as well. Appreciate you guys as always for another great year of recording this podcast. Still seems wild that we've been doing this for over 3 years at this point.
Unbelievable.
Appreciate you guys for all the support. Appreciate you guys for sending your Humper chats. Anybody that's bought merch, if you haven't bought merch, grapsody.bigcartel.com.
Yes, sir.
But this is it. This is our last Grapsody of 2024. Next time we see you guys, it will be 2025, which is wild to think about. I believe we got a guest next week. Have to double check that. Might have a guest, but this is it, man. Appreciate you guys as always. Have a happy new year. Everybody be safe. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do. Enjoy you some nice brown liquor and champagne. But this has been Grapsody. I'm Phil Lindsey. This is Righteous Reg. We are out of here.
Peace.